welcome to Miami. And we are, of course, in the lovely Sunshine State, although it's not very sunny at the moment, here in the southern state of Florida in America, of course, for the Miami Grand Prix. 57 laps tonight around here in the 100% League. Of course, this is round 20, so we're almost done with the season. We've got, after this round, we've got 4 remaining, as do the rest of the ALR divisions as well, so it's going to be interesting stuff indeed. There we go. Ginner there is the only driver, as we can see on track there, with the soft compound tyres set on that Alpine, as he's having a bit of a spin out the final corner, and unfortunately that has cost him those soft compound tyres. I think the intermediates seem to be the way to go, as the other 19 drivers have got those tyres set in the box or on their outlaps as well. But unfortunately, it is not Ginner who's going to be leading us away. It's going to be Sick as Muck, I think it is, who is unfortunately validated as well, so he's not going to be able to set a lap time in anger on this occasion. It's Vintage though. Vintage back on track. Vintage is the first on track, of course, with his expertise, his experience in league racing. He is going to lead us away through Miami. The first time, of course, the 100% division are tackling the track of the Miami circuit. I can't remember. I think it's the Miami International Autodrome is the actual name of the circuit. From my memory, that is. I'm not sure if that's going to be right, so someone will have to Google check and correct me if I am wrong. But there we go. Immortal there, unfortunately, losing the car keys, both the AlphaTauris of Troy, who is reserving tonight in place of Scooby Stew, and Immortal, who is, of course, the championship winner. He's already got the championship wrapped up there. Has the well, for the drivers, that is, it has Immortal. Not quite yet for the constructors. Of course, Aston Martin now chases them down, and of course, in place of KD and Gamer tonight, unfortunately for both of them not being able to take part in this race, Lucas Percy, who is returning. Of course, he used to race in the Aston Martin at the beginning of the season, of course, and Bacardi in the Aston there. For those two there to try and get some points there for the Aston Martin team, try and hold a candle there to the two in the AlphaTauri as well, and try and maximise some points for the teams. But there we go then. Rain falling here in qualifying. We don't know what the forecast is for the race, as Aston Martin has jumped into the car as well, so that is the full grid sorted now. But yeah, there we go. Here comes Vintage there to set the first time in anger across the track, around the track I should say, a 39.176 there for the Williams driver. Good stuff indeed. Evening all. Well done, Troy and Pink Eye, says Serious Mushroom in the comment section. Yeah, I'm not quite sure who he's congratulating. Unfortunately, Troy has lost his car keys, so he's maybe being congratulated for losing his car keys in the pits. That is that, then done and dusted. I think Siege is the other Williams there on track. He's coming across the line, is he, to complete a lap? No, he's coming back in the pit lane, so maybe he thinks that it's time to switch the compounds, as here comes Percy, of course, back in the Aston Martin. Very twitchy that Aston Martin is as well. Look at that, going through the fast few corners. As here he goes across the line. It's a 34.987 there for the Aston Martin driver. Puts him comfortably in pole position ahead of Vessia, who's done a good time indeed there. 36.5 puts him well ahead of Vintage. I think a few drivers are setting their sights in this qualifying session before we get underway for the race. But yeah, it'd be nice to know what the weather's going to be like for the race itself. It doesn't look like the rain is going to last that long. It already seems to be abating slightly in the qualifying session. We've only had 5 minutes or so of the qualifying to complete. Let's have a look and further down the order. See who's going to be crossing the line next. It's not going to be Kiki. Unfortunately, Kiki had a big smash there. I think there's some front wing. It's completely front wing gone on that Ferrari. Unfortunately for Kiki, there a big smash there through turns 1 or turns 2. I think it is, or turns 3. 4 and 5, I would count that as, really. But like I said, it's very complex corners in Sector 1, and of course, even in the dry complex of corners, those are very treacherous indeed. Getting the traction wrong can send you off into a spin. We've got something else going wrong somewhere else. Oh, is that Pink Kite? No, it's not Pink Kite. Chewy's back in the pit lane, and he's not set a time. Ginner is back out on the intermediate compound tyres. Kydell's popped himself up into P2. He's currently P2 in the championship as well. That could be promising for the McLaren driver as well. Yellow flags for an Aston Martin. It's on. He's in neutral. There is Lucas Percy there, so he needs to get himself sorted on that one. He has got the likes of Bannister coming back down the straight, so he needs to make sure he doesn't get in the way of these fast approaching drivers. Bannister there into P5 with a 38.906 there in the Alpine. Good stuff indeed for him. Unfortunately, his teammate of Ginner there had to come back to the pits and abandon his lap time on the soft compound tyres. It's still a bit too wet out there for the soft compound tyres, I would imagine. It does look like the rain has stopped though, so we'll have to wait and see if there's going to be any changes in the next 11 minutes or so. Out in front, we've just had somebody jump up the order. I think it was Vessier there, up into P3 there with a good time indeed. Wet start, then sun, says Serious Mushroom in the comment section. So that is the predicted weather forecast there for the race itself. Up into P3 goes Ginner there. He's got himself sorted now, has Ginner. Of course, after that testing run there on the soft compound tyres, where you saw him have a spin right here at this final couple of corners, he's managed to get himself on the intermediate compound tyres and put himself comfortably up onto the second row of the grid as Beat there comes across the line there to go P6 in the Alfa Romeo. We saw Beat, of course, win 2 races ago now. It was in Japan. Unfortunately, he didn't compete in Azerbaijan last week. But yeah, we've got Beat there up into P7 there, trying to get himself back up the points order as well. Bannister's just going to go again as well, I think, in this occasion. Martin there puts himself up into P9. Acid Masters is in the car and is on a lap as well. So that's good stuff indeed for the Red Bull driver. Let's have a look and see what Pink Eye can do in the Ferrari. Of course, he's jumped into the seat and he's been absolutely brilliant in terms of the pace that we've seen in the gold race. Of course, around Mexico it was his first race of the season, and it gave him a podium, of course, after that result. So go back and watch that, of course, if you're a fan of the Pink Eye. If you're a fan of ALR Gold as well, it was one hell of a race, that one as well. So go back and watch that one, of course, after the 100% League is done and dusted, because there's going to be a much more of an interesting show here tonight. Of course, as we've got a Williams, I think, off the circuit there at the end of Sector 1, but he's got himself back underway. Percy's there goes even faster than his previous lap time of 33 now for the Aston Martin driver. That is getting fast indeed, and it could be getting towards the dry tyres type thing, I would imagine, because I would think with the track drying out, with the amount of cars that are putting the tyres along the track. It's still raining though, isn't it? It's still pouring down with rain, especially at the last few corners. It seems at some stages that it seems to be not raining so much, so we'll have to wait and see how it's going to get on as Pink Eye puts himself comfortably up into P2 there. A 35.0 there from the Ferrari driver. That's is still, as well, it's over a second behind Lucas Percy, who's setting some hell of a pace in the Aston Martin. That is pretty good stuff indeed there for the Aston Martin driver, and of course they'll be looking forward to that in the paddock if they can get the haul of points there for the win, of course, for the Aston Martin team in the joint constructors and in the constructors there for the 100% League as well. They need that point to try and overhaul the Alpha Tauris, don't they? Because of course AC Immortal there has been setting the pace in the previous 20 or 19 rounds. This is round 20, of course, so yeah, he's been setting the pace in the previous 20 rounds, 19 I should say. Here comes Vessier as he's getting a bit of a tow here from that Alpine in front. I think the Alpine is it's a Bannister. Is Bannister on a lap? I think he might be on a lap as well, so it's going to be very close indeed between these two, especially in the braking zone. They need to make sure they get that right, as Vessier there is going to follow the Alpine through. Yellow flags there for McLaren. I think it's Kydell just getting out of the way as Reflection is still in the pit lane, so it's not going to be Reflection causing those yellow flags. So yeah, Kydell just getting out of the way there of the drivers coming through. Vessier has crossed the line. He stays P6. Acid Masters has set a time there. He displaces his teammate by just over a tenth of a second, and he is in P5 for the time being. Ginner there is back out on a lap as well. Bannister, I don't think he did improve. I think actually Bannister he did improve into the 36s there, only just by 999. But yeah, it was very close indeed between Bannister. He's being displaced now by Bacardi, I think, who's popped himself up into P9 there for the other Aston Martin outfit. Unfortunately, both the Alpha Tauris not qualifying means that the Aston Martin can get a bit of a jump on them in the race, or potentially in the race, that is, if it goes their way. We'll have to wait and see how it all plays out. They will be in the 26s soon, says Serious Mushroom. Well, they've got, what is that exactly? They've got exactly 7 seconds to find there on their laps. If they can get into the 26s at some stage of this qualifying, that is going to be one hell of a... as Danny's retired, I think that's in the pit lane, is it? There's an Alfa Romeo having problems. It might be Beat. Their Beat's in P7 as Kiki is retired. And Beat has got a 5-place grid penalty there for a collision with Kiki. I'm not quite sure if there was a bit of a problem there. I think Beat was the one who had got stranded on the circuit at the exit of turn 2 and 3. and I'm not sure if Kiki, as it looked that Alfa Romeo is just out of control. You can't even see how he's going to try and keep that on track in these conditions, as it looks like he's underneath the track at that point. But no, it's just the dip in the curvature of the circuit. But yeah, unfortunately, I'm not quite sure what happened to Kiki. Kiki's gone into the side of him, or the back of him, and that has caused the Ferrari to DNF as well, and that's caused the Alfa Romeo a 5-place grid penalty as well. I'm not quite sure what's happened to that as well. Is ghosting off? I'm not quite sure. I'm sure it should be. It definitely is usually set off. So that is how it is meant to be. So good stuff indeed. Unfortunate there for Beat and for Kiki as well. I'm not quite sure how he's going to recover in this one, but maybe Kiki will have to follow through the AlphaTauris of AC Mortal and Troy and bring that Ferrari back up into the points pen positions. I'm sure we can see something good there from Kiki later on in this race as well. Chewy there back out on track as well into the very nice sort of very long wrong right left-hander, I should say, of turns 6 and 7. He's managed to negotiate it very nicely. Leads straight onto this straight as well. What will the drivers do? As it, like I said, it doesn't seem to be raining in this part of the circuit at all. Maybe just very slightly, but in the latter part of the lap, it seems to be pouring down still. So there is still some sort of precipitation falling from those skies. But there we go then. Like I was saying, what will the drivers do with their setups then? Of course, if expecting rain to start with the race, and then it's going to turn into dry racing conditions, what we're going to expect from the drivers? Are they going to go for a straight line speed and wait for the dry compounds to kick in, or are they going to go for a more conservative setup there, make sure that they can get through the wet patch of the race and then go onto the dries later on and maybe inhibit their pace in the dry, but of course have a bit more pace in the wet conditions? We'll have to find out how it's going to play out. Chewy there coming back around the final corners. And then we go into the pit. No, he's going to finish off this lap. Let's have a look and see what Chewy can do. He has improved by half a second there. Pretty good stuff indeed there from Chewy. He stays P12, unfortunately, but he has improved by almost, well, just over half a second, which is a very good improvement in one lap as well. So good stuff from Chewy. We'll have to wait and see. Is that down to the track evolution as well, though, or is it just drying up on there on that circuit? We'll have to wait and see. We have to see who's going to be the next driver to jump up the order as well. Picardi has improved to P7 there. He's in between the two Red Bulls for the time being, and it looks like the Red Bulls have come back out on the intermediate compound tyres again. So those drivers there on the intermediates are well, they're sticking with the intermediates, aren't they? Put it that way. So they're not trying to stay out in the pit lane for a bit longer. Let's see if the soft compound tyres might be the right ones to go on to for the last run in qualifying. I think the Red Bulls have decided that the way to go sorry, the way to go is the intermediate for the qualifying session. That is, he just needs to make sure it doesn't get in the way of the Aston Martin. That is Lucas Percy, the pole sitter, currently on. He's not on another lap, unfortunately, because he has invalidated his lap on this occasion. So he'll have to go back around to start himself off once again. But there we go then. Let's have a look and see. The Alfa Romeo Beat is back out on intermediate compound tyres. Sickers Max done 5 laps on the Inters there. Maybe a good sighter there for the Mercedes driver in P5 for later on at the start of this race, which is going to be coming up in just over 3 minutes time now, so it's not too long. Kiki said he didn't ghost, that's why I retired. Yeah, I think, well, like I said, if you go around the corner and he's still there, I think it doesn't ghost until it's too late, unfortunately. But like I said, ghosting is very difficult to get right in this game. I think, especially if you go around a very fast-paced corner, such as this corner itself, which is where the incident did happen, then it is usually quite easy to just go into the car ahead, unfortunately, which is what has happened to Kiki in this qualifying session. He's not been able to set a time in the session itself. He is now out of the session as well, down in 17th position, unfortunately. But we have got the Alfa Romeo who caused the issue. I think he's got a 5-place grid penalty there, so he's going to be starting in P11. If it finishes the way it is at the moment, he might be actually displaced by Acid Masters, who's probably is going much faster indeed. Look at this, he's down 4/10 on his time. He's gaining, is the Red Bull driver. He's looking good indeed, and going through the Sector 2 now as well. Sector 1 actually, he's already 4/10 up in Sector 1, so let's have a look and see what he's going to be up in Sector 2. Can he improve even further there in the Red Bull? Can he get himself up into the top 3, or can he go even further than that? We'll have to wait and see. He's now half a second up as we go into Sector 3. Then just starting Sector 3 now is the Red Bull driver coming down the back straight towards the penultimate corner then, and let's have a look and see what the time is going to be here from Acid Masters. Masters, of course, joined late in the session, but he looks to be already up to speed very quickly with the track conditions as well. Let's have a look and see, going round the penultimate turn in first gear, looking good indeed on the traction as well, looking very smooth in that Red Bull. Up to the line, what's it going to be? It's P4 there. He's gained 7.5 tenths of a second there in that one lap as well. Fantastic stuff indeed there from the Red Bull driver, and up into P4 he goes onto the second row of the grid. Ginner there back out on track. So is Beat there. A few drivers they're just finishing off their out laps as well, as I think this is the last few laps of the qualifying session. Only 1 minute to go now. So any drivers that are still in the pit lane probably won't be able to get themselves out on track in time to get another lap time in. Bannister, Chewy, Bacardi there are done and dusted. Reflection, of course, not setting a time either in this qualifying session, which is unfortunate. Quite a few drivers there haven't been able to get their car keys sorted and get themselves out on track, which is a big shame indeed, because it's less speculation on where they're going to be in the race. We want to see what their pace is going to be like, especially in these conditions, as if it were going to start in the rain as well. We'll have to wait and see. But here comes Vessier now, the other Red Bull driver, looking to improve on his current time of P9. And let's have a look and see what he can do. Can he get himself to the line? And can he get himself up with his teammate there up in P4? Can he get even better? We'll find out. I'm ahead of Troy in quali. Mum, get the camera, says Serious Mushroom. Yeah, that's it. Here comes Vessier now round the final couple of corners there. Oh, skittish over the curbs there. His Reflection's retired. And again over the curbs as well. Up into P6 though. Half a second gain as well for the Red Bull driver. So the track is getting quicker. We are seeing a lot of improvement in the lap times there as well as the drivers cross the line, which is promising stuff indeed. Acid Masters unfortunately has invalidated his run, so he's coming back into the pit lane now. Here comes Ginner though. Oh, Ginner's cut the corner on the final corner as well. Then that is him done and dusted. He's not been able to finish that lap time off. He was down on his time anyway, so unfortunately that is him done and dusted in this session there. Vintage has crossed the line to stays P10 for the time being. Here comes an Aston Martin of Lucas Percy's entering the pit lane, so that is his qualifying done and dusted as well. What about Siege? Siege is the only driver not to set a time who is on track. Here he comes around the final corner now, and up to the line he goes P4 with a 35.194, displacing Acid Masters, who's in the pit lane. So that is Siege up into the second row of the grid. Good stuff indeed for him. And here comes Kydell. Previously was on the first row, but he can't improve on this lap. Unfortunately stays P3 for the time being. And we've got a Ferrari coming through as well. This is Pink Eye there, who's going to be, of course, reserving tonight in place of Kaz. Lucas Percy there retires in the pits. He's currently on pole position, but he's always very close indeed, actually. Pink Eye there goes into stays in P2, I should say, but he's only a 10th off the pole sitter there of Lucas Percy. Let's have a look and see who's going to be next across the line. It is Sick as Muck there. Let's have a look and see what the Mercedes driver can do now as he comes round at the final couple of corners as well towards the checker flag there of the qualifying session. Up into P6 there, displacing Ginner now down to P7 there. Vessier has invalidated his lap time. Beat has crossed the line, but he stays P9, and that, I think, is the qualifying, unless Martin can do something. Martin has invalidated, so that is that then for the qualifying. Lucas Percy is on pole position there for the Miami Grand Prix. Fantastic stuff indeed there from Percy. He set the precedent very early on as well in qualifying by almost over a second there, I think it was, and that was it. Was quite impeccable there, and we saw, I don't think Lucas Percy could improve on it, and I don't think anybody else. Well, we saw Pink Eye there try and hold a candle to him there. He's still a 10th off even with the extra run, and Lucas Percy there will be very happy, I hope indeed, with that pole position there. Very comfortable indeed for the Aston Martin driver, and looking good for the start of this Grand Prix as well. Right then, here is your classification there for the qualifying for the Miami Grand Prix. Lucas Percy is in pole position there with a fantastic lap time indeed. Only 1/10 behind was Pink Eye there in the Ferrari. Kydell is almost a second away there in P3 from the pole sitter there in the McLaren. Williams of Siege in P4, Acid Masters in P5, Sick as Muck P6, Ginner in P7, Vessier in P8. Unfortunately, Beat will be starting down in P14 after that 5-place grid penalty. So Picardi in P9, Vintage in P10, Bannister in P12, Martin in P13. Yeah, something like that. Anyway, Chewy there in P13, I think it is. Immortal there, P15. Didn't get time, and same for Mushroom in P16, Kiki P17, Danny in P18, Troy P19, and Reflection in P20. Right, then it all looks nice and sunny there in the loading screen, so hopefully we'll have that translated into the race itself. We'll find out in just a minute, but there we go, loading in now to the race. 57 laps, like I was saying earlier, for the Miami Grand Prix. It's going to be one hell of a Grand Prix indeed, between the Hard Rock Stadium and a hard, well, between a rock and a hard place, isn't it? That's the motto, isn't it? So yeah, we'll have to hope that the drivers there are not between a hard rock and a rock place. We'll have to just hope that, as Martin has left the session there in disgust of my horrible puns, but yeah, hopefully we can get ourselves underway very soon with a good race indeed. Martin hopefully can get himself back in the car as well. It doesn't look to be raining there in the pit lane, which is promising, very promising indeed, for the start of this Grand Prix as well. So we'll have to wait and see how it's going to unfold in the first few laps. The time as they're starting to tick down now, so the drivers now sorting out their strategies, getting the tyre pressures all sorted, and they're getting the fuel loads all ready for the start of the race. Right then, away we go for the formation lap. Martin's car is still on the grid, so hopefully he can get himself back in the session and back in his car. He might have to wait until the race start to take control of that. That Alfa Romeo, I should say. But there we go. Yeah, not quite sure. Hopefully it was just a small connection issue there for the... Always Percy there, go for a spin there to celebrate his pole position. He's had a bit of an off there. Has the Aston Martin driver, he's only recovered there. He's recovered to P3, dropped down to P3, I should say. He's got himself back past Kydell and looking to get himself back up in the lead there. On the hard compound tyres, though, is Lucas Percy from P1. That is going to be very difficult indeed compared to the drivers behind him who are on medium compound tyres for Pink Eye in P2. Same for Kydell in P3 and Siege in P4 in the Williams. All those drivers are on the medium compound tyres. Aston Masters is starting on the soft compound tyres, so he's looking to go very fast indeed in the first stint. A first short but fast burst for the Red Bull driver in P5. Sicker's Mark has mirrored the race leader, or the pole sitter I should say, in the on the hard combat tyres in the Mercedes there. Gino on the mediums in P7, same for Vessier in P8 as well. Bacardi, his same as his teammate, has gone on the hard combat tyres in P9. Vintage on the mediums in P10. Bannister on the hards in P11. Martin has joined back as well. Good stuff indeed. Hopefully he can take control for the start of the race. If not, he can take the control in the race itself. And he's on the medium compound tyres there in P12. Chewy in P13 on the hard compound tyres. Same for Beat there. He had that 5-place grid penalty there, didn't he, in the qualifying, and that has demoted him down to P14. He's starting on the hard compound tyres. His rival there, well, the championship winner of AC Immortal there on the hard compound tyres in P15. Serious Mushroom there in P16 on the mediums, as is Kiki in P17. Same for Danny in P18 and Troy in P19, and Reflection bringing up the rear. Last but not least, of course, because we've seen some Reflection put some good performances in the 100% league and in silver, of course, as well. But yeah, starting in P20 there on the medium compound tyres as well. There we go then, a nice sunny start then, it looks like, for the Sunshine State, as unfortunately some people there are struggling to get themselves into their grid boxes there, but we are ready to get going very closely. We're just waiting for Reflection to park himself in his grid box, and then we'll be ready to get ourselves started for the Miami Grand Prix. Just getting ourselves all lined up there. Let's have a look and see if we can get a better camera angle. Not quite. We'll have to just stick with this one for the time being, unfortunately. Hopefully we can get ourselves away nicely. The 5 red lights are starting up here in Miami. The 5 red lights are on in Miami, and the 5 red lights are off, and away we go for the Miami Grand Prix in the 100% league, and away we go into turn 1. It's going to be so it looked like Lucas Percy trying to cover off a dive there from a Ferrari there, and that was a very aggressive indeed there from the Aston Martin driver. Lucas Percy there trying to push that Ferrari Pink Eye there away from the attack there, and it looks like Pink Eye managing to recover the car, looking like he's just trying to get himself regained and recovered there. We'll have a look at the position changes as well. No, that's the penalties. I got that wrong. We'll have a look at the position changes in a minute as well. The top three all getting away nicely. Aston Martin's up one place already with a great start indeed on those soft compound tyres. Gino up 2 places as well. Great start indeed. Siege is the big loser, unfortunately, so far. He's down to P6 there after losing out to both Gino and Aston Masters as well. Here comes the other Red Bull of Vessier. He's pushing on hard as well in the other Red Bull, in the second Red Bull here, looking to go as well. Here comes Aston Masters down the inside of Kaido. He's up into P3, up into the podium places already is the Red Bull driver. Siege and Vessier switching places as well as we go through the very difficult, complex part of Sector 2 into Sector 3. This is very easy to get themselves mixed up and get a wing damage here as well. Unfortunately for Siege, he's lost out there to the Red Bull driver, I should say. That is Siege down to P7. Unfortunately, Sickers Muckers lost out to the drivers there who are on the much more faster paced tyres at this stage. Of course, he is on much more durable tyres. He'll go longer in this first stint as well. So Sickers Muck there on the hard compound tyres, not losing out too much there. Troy is up 10 positions in the first. Well, he's not even completed the first lap. He's up 10 positions already in the AlphaTauri. That is, he's up in the points already as well, starting from P19. So that is one hell of a great start indeed there for the AlphaTauri driver. He's looking to get himself past Sick as Muck now into turn 1, and looking to go round the outside there of the Mercedes. And I think he's got the move done and dusted. There has the AlphaTauri. They're good stuff indeed. Up into P8. They're up 11 places now. Bacardi there's dropped a place. He's in P10. Bannister stayed where he is in P11 on those hard compound tyres. AC Mortar trying to fight his way through. Of course, the championship leader, he doesn't have to yield to the championship leader there. He's not being lapped or anything. This is the lead lap still. So Bannister there is going to do his best there to hold back the championship winner, I should say. Not the leader. He is the leader still technically, but he is the championship winner, of course, in terms of the Drivers' Championship, that is. So let's have a look and see if he's going to be able to get himself past the Alpine here down the next straight. It is very close indeed between the two of them. They're looking to fight their way through tooth and nail there. AC Morton there has to back off. Down the order, Beat has got himself up one place. Vintage unfortunately dropping down from P10 down to 14th. There, Danny's up 3. Same for Reflection up 4. Kiki stayed the same. Serious Mushroom has dropped down 2, unfortunately for him. And Martin and Chewy have switched, has moved down 7 places each. I think Martin is in the car now, which is at least a good positive. At least he's got himself back in the race. Unfortunately, it's not looking good there. I'm not sure what happened to Chewy though. He's got everything pointing in the right direction. I think those hard compound tyres just took a bit too long to warm up there for the Haas driver, and unfortunately I think there's a few others who had a bit of a problem there on those hard compound tyres compared to the rest around them. As straight on goes Bannister into the runoff area. It looked like he almost took everybody out there as well. He's got himself regained and recomposed as AC Mortal and Beat there switching places as well. But blimey, that was a very well. I think he was trying to avoid the cars, wasn't he? There, he was trying to go in between the people who were coming round the penultimate corners there, and thankfully for a Bannister and for everybody else who was involved there as well, that there was no contact, and the Alpine had to go straight off. Thankfully, not making contact with any other vehicles there. Thankfully, because otherwise that would have been a massive incident indeed. But no harm, no foul. Yeah, I think Bannister might have just misjudged his braking point there, going in a bit too deep in the corner, and then had to just take avoiding action. Further up the order, Siege has been passed by Troy. Troy is going great guns indeed in this first few laps there. He's got himself the DRS there on the Williams, and up into P7 goes the AlphaTauri reserve. He's looking to get himself after Vessier now. Picardi's trying to get past Sick as Muck there with the DRS assistance as well. He's gone too deep there as Picardi. That is not good news there for the Aston Martin reserve as well. He's having troubles there trying to keep the Mercedes behind. He's going to have to try and keep hold of it. As all Sick as Muck's trying to dive down the inside, that is going to cause a few more barges and bumps as Bacardi there just turns across the Mercedes there. Unfortunately for Bacardi, that has cost him a bit of his front wing as Danny's got a 5-second penalty for cutting the corner, and now is letting people through as well. I'm not quite sure what's gone on in the background there as well. Bacardi there trying to get himself sorted there, trying to let the other drivers go through as well. I think he's going to have to come into the pit lane to sort that in that front wing, unfortunately for the Aston Martin driver as well. He's had a bit of a problem there through the kinks there, isn't it, of the underneath the highway, I should say. That's what it's called, isn't it? The highway in America, not the motorway for us Brits, but the British people tend to often say stuff wrong, don't they? Into the pits goes Bacardi and Martin as well. Martin's decided to come into the pit lane. He's got a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Vintage. Vintage has gone. He's had a problem there in Sector 1. It's the same place we've seen the incidents in qualifying as well, as Martin's just quit in the pit lane there. Unfortunately, that is him giving up already. Even though he got himself back in the race, he could have just carried on. I think there's still quite a few laps there to go. Unfortunately, Martin there has decided that he's not going to bother with that. He's going to just go to bed, I think. There we go. So that is that done and dusted. Pink Eye there is putting the pressure on Percy there still. He's trying to get himself past in that Ferrari. They've dropped Acid Masters there by 1.7 seconds, these two, and out in the lead. They're going to try and battle for that lead as well. Down the back straight, here we go. DRS, of course, is going to be available to the Ferrari driver of Pink Eye there in P2. Let's have a look and see, can he make any moves there into the penultimate corner, or is he going to bide his time? Is he going to wait for his next opportunity, or is he going to be too close? He's going to have to go for the move down the inside here, isn't he? On the brakes, he's going to be late indeed. No, he's not. He's decided to slot in behind the Aston Martin once again. Down the background, Kydell was putting pressure on the Aston Martin of the Alfa, sorry, the Red Bull driver. Trying to go for all the cars before I get the right car. The Red Bull driver there of Acid Masters there to get himself back up into P3, but no moves being made just yet into turn 1. Jenna and Troy there switching places, not just yet. Here comes Reflection and Kiki. These two been battling away. Versier and Siege switching places once again. Siege now up into P7. Versier trying to hold it around the outside, but you don't want to be careful indeed there, as we've seen a few mistakes through that corner, or those few corners there as well in the previous few laps and in the qualifying, of course, as well. Versier there, backing down into P8 there. For the time being, that is. As into the pits goes Vintage as well. I'm not quite sure what's happened to Vintage. Hopefully he's all right, as we got problems in the background for Bannister. He's off the circuit again. He's looking to try and get himself back underway, and he's just spinning that car around even worse. So those tyres are now going to be super overheated, and that is going to be causing him more of a problem. There's Vintage, as not Vintage, as Troy has got past Jinner there for P5, up 14 places in the first 5 laps there for Troy. Good stuff indeed for Troy as well. Great start indeed. Let's hope Bannister can get himself sorted. He's on the hard compound tyre, so he was looking to go long in the first stint, as Beat there has got trying to get past Sick as Muck there, but he's gone too deep, and on the brakes Sick as Muck has managed to get the place back as well. Up into P9 there goes the Mercedes driver. Can Beat try and recover there and get himself back past? Let's have a look and see as we go now onto the back straight as well. Fingers crossed there. It's all clean and all dandy, but AC Immortal there is waiting in the wings as well, looking to get himself back into the points pen positions. Well, back into the points pen positions first for the first time this race. Here comes the Alfa Romeo there, trying to pull out the slipstream now of the Mercedes, but down into the braking zone. He's a bit too far back. I think Chewy, or somebody's had a problem. No, it's Chewy there. Chewy's had a problem there at the exit of the he's smashed it into the wall as well on that rear right tyre. Lucky that tyre didn't fall off, I don't think. Bannister there is going to come through as well now. But Chewy has lost the whole of the front wing there. He needs to get himself back to the pit lane to sort that out. AC Immortal and Beat. These three are battling away side by side. And Sick as Muck there doesn't want to yield. And AC Immortal's had a spin. The championship leader, I should say, has had a spin. And that has moved him down the order. Reflections had a spin as well at the exit of turn 2. And these drivers there really struggling to get through turns 2 and 3. Chewy there just getting himself back to the pit lane there. I think he's been passed there by Bacardi there up into the pit, back into the pits, I should say, is Chewy. Good stuff indeed. Hopefully he can get himself sorted and get a new front wing on out in the lead. I didn't see this, but Pink Eye has got himself up into the lead of the race, and he's on to lap 6 now. And that is, he's got the lead over Lucas Percy by almost a second as well. It's getting close indeed. Sick as Muck and Beat battling away once again in towards the braking zone. We go deep on the brakes once again there for the Alfa Romeo, but he's managed to slow it down much better in time this time. And I think the battling between these two and the championship leader, of course, AC Immortal there, cost the AlphaTauri the positions there and the spin, as it looked like Sick as Muck wanted to make sure it was going to be going 3 wide there into a very difficult corner indeed. So yeah, I'm not quite sure if there's going to be any interest in that and the reports in the incidents afterwards, but we will have to wait and see. Lucas Percy sets the fastest lap of the race there. He's got the drag on the Ferrari. And now the Alfa Romeo looking to go down the inside here into the penultimate corner there. Sick as Muck is defending still. Side by side we go. And it looks like it's close indeed. There's contact indeed between the Alfa Romeo and the Mercedes again. And I think the RS light is flashing there on that Alfa Romeo as well. You can see he's expelling a lot of that electrical energy to try and just get past the Mercedes. But the Mercedes of Sick as Muck does not want to budge, does he? At this stage of the Grand Prix. AC Water there is having to recover there after that spin. He's got himself back underway. He's down into 13th place. He was in 11th place, so he's not lost out too much. He's only 2.6 seconds behind, as Kiki has joined this battle as well, I think, very soon. But there we go. Sorry, I'm running out of breath. Kaidell's been passed by Troy, and here comes Troy again for P3. He's up into the podium places there from the 16th or from 19th on the grid, I should say. He's got himself up into P3 there so far in this race. It's looking good indeed for the medium runner of the AlphaTauris, that is, because I believe the other AlphaTauri of AC Immortal there is on the hard compound tyres. So yes, he is. He's looking to go much longer in this race. Sick as Muck and Beat are racing around again. And this time, I think, it's going to be close indeed again as they go into the complex corners as well under the bridge. And Beat, I think, has got ahead this time. No, he hasn't. It's a switch back there from the Mercedes. Once again, Sick as Muck takes hold of that P9 position again. And they just need to make sure they don't get too hot-headed about this as well. Here comes the Alfa Romeo once again with DRS towards the back of the Mercedes. The Kiki and the Ferrari has joined the battle as well. And now this is going to get interesting indeed. Here comes Beat there. He's got the move done. The switchback indeed. He still makes contact with the Mercedes though, which was a bit unnecessary there from the Alfa Romeo. I don't think he needed to do that. He was already through, I think. But he's got the position now up into P9 there. He's lost 11 seconds there to Vessier in P8. There is a lot of battling going on back here. Which is costing a lot of time there to the drivers around this battle. And they are dropping down the order again compared to Vessier. Of course, Vessier is on. We'll have to look at the tyre compounds, but Vessier on the medium compound tyres, so they are, of course, going a bit shorter than the hard compound runners at this stage of the Grand Prix. And they've only done 8 laps so far, but we're 8 laps into the 57 there, so we've got 50 or so to go, or 49 or so to go. But they need to try and get themselves back after the top 8 now as well to try and get themselves back into points-paying positions in the latter part of this race. I sense, though, that we're going to have still some more interest here from Sick as Muck there for that P9 position. As here comes Beat there back in. He's got the inside cover, but again, deep on the brakes, and that is going to be allowing Sick as Muck there to try and switch it back. Switch as Muck, I was going to say there. But no such luck at this stage of the race there for the Mercedes driver. He's going to have to bide his time once again and sit behind. A bit of a slide there from the Alfa Romeo. That's going to entice the Mercedes there to try and make a move now down onto the back straight. And a lot more ERS available there to the Mercedes driver as well. In the background, we've got Kiki, we've got Serious Mushroom, we've got AC Immortal there battling away as well for the next few positions as well. It's not going to end here, I don't think, and it could end badly as well, I could say, as down into the braking zone we go. And Beat, I think he's missed his braking point. No, he hasn't. He's got himself back round the corner, but Sick as Muck is still there. Beat is trying to recover the car. He's had a bit of a slide there through that complex of corners there, and he's got himself back underway, thankfully. But he has lost a bit of time there to the Mercedes driver, and that all of this time, the time that they're spending battling so much, they're losing time hand over fist there to the top 8 as well. Now 13 seconds between Sick as Muck now in P9 and Vessier in P8. It is really extending that gap out in front. Let's have a look, see what's going out in front as well. But Pink Eye still leads the way. Immortal's got himself past Kiki. Oh no, Kiki's off the circuit. Kiki's had a problem there. He's got himself back underway. He has got himself back underway, thankfully. But not quite sure what's happened there. Reflection is going to join the battle there for Peeve. Oh, it's close indeed. I thought Kiki was going to just stop there on the track there, and that was going to cost Reflection as well. But thankfully not. Kiki's got himself back underway. Danny there is up into P13 after Kiki's mistake. Serious Mushroom has been passed by Immortal there. Immortal's back in this battle here, really, between Beat there and Sick as Muck there for that P9 position. Once again, Reflection's got himself past Kiki there with the aid of DRS as well. I think Kiki might be having a problem there. I'm not quite sure. Hopefully those tyres are all right for the Ferrari driver and he can get himself back underway. But there we go. Beat there is now under pressure from the championship winner of AC Immortal there. He's got the championship wrapped up there in round 19 in 19 rounds. I think it might have been 18 rounds actually. Might be wrong. Sorry about that. 18 rounds I would say, and he's got himself back up into the points positions for the first time this race as well. I might say, as up in the lead, we've had a change. There. Pink Eye's lost out to Percy there for the lead of this Grand Prix. Does that indicate that the medium compound tyres might be switching off here at this stage of the Grand Prix? 10 laps in, will they be getting towards the their best part sell-by date, I suppose you could say, and will the hards now phase in and be the better tyre compared to those as well on the medium compound tyres? Although we see that Acid Masters, they're still going very strong indeed on those soft compound tyres. His teammate, unfortunately, has had an issue though. His teammate Vessier has had a problem here around the long left-hander. He's had a problem there trying to get the power down. I think he's spun the car. He's got it underway, though. He stays in P8 for the time being. Immortal is off the track again. I'm not quite sure what's happening here as well. I think Immortal's had another issue there between Sick as Muck and Beat there. I think he got himself past the Alfa Romeo driver, but he's now dropped down the order once again into P13. And that is not good news there for Immortal. He's struggling to get himself into stay in the points pen positions now in this championship leader. I'm not quite sure if it's a problem there for Immortal, or if it's a problem they're trying to get himself through the drivers who are a bit slower than him, unfortunately. And that is costing him a few positions here and there in this race. Danny's on the back of Serious Mushroom there, just outside the points pen positions. Beat has dropped out of the DRS range of Sick as Muck. Acid Masters has got himself back past Kydell, has he? Or around the outside, can the McLaren hold it on the penultimate corner? Yellow flags in Sector 1. It's for a Haas. I think it's for Chewy, is it? Is Chewy off the circuit? Is he? No, he's just letting people through, I think. Or has he gone off? Hopefully he is okay. Siege is in the pit lane there. He's called it a day. Hang on, we got more action coming. Siege has called it a day on the medium compound tyres. He's done 10 laps on the medium compound tyres there, so does that indicate that he's going to be doing a 2-stop strategy? He's gone on to mediums once again, so that would indicate he can get into lap 20 or so. So we'll have to find out whether that's going to play into his hands or not as he comes out the pit lane. He's going to be behind this queue of Danny, Serious Mushroom, Beat, and Sick as Muck. So that is going to really hamper his progress if he catches up to that queue very quickly. Indeed, he's out in front of Immortal though for the time being. Reflection and Kiki switching places again through turns 1, 2 and 3, and Reflection takes P14 for the time being up into the highest position he's been in so far in this race. But of course we do expect that to come back to him. Immortal's on the hard compound tyres, we did mention that earlier, so he's going to be going long in this first stint as well, trying to catch up to the back now of Siege, who's just pitted for the fresh medium compound tyres. So that is an interesting call indeed. Yellow flags again for a Haas driver. I think it is Chewy there, who spun in the underneath the highway, and he's got himself back underway again. But it's not going his way, unfortunately, for the Haas driver at this stage of the race there. Like I said, it could come back for him. We don't know just yet, as Kiki, once again, resuming the battle here between the McLarens and the Ferraris, and he's taking back that P14 for the time being as well, ahead of Reflection now, as they go down the back straight there towards the kinks there, as he's got a penalty there for cutting the corner. I think it's very easy to get a warning there, isn't it, across that part of complex of corners underneath the highway. Unfortunately, that has cost Kiki a penalty. There was a few penalties that are being picked up there. Vesio has picked up a penalty, same for Danny, same for Picardi. They're down in P16 as well. So there is a few penalties across the field. 8 laps now on those 11 laps on those soft compound tyres there for Acid Masters. He's still going strong. He's lost out of the DRS there on that just over a couple of corners there to Kydell, which probably indicates that the soft compound tyres are at their limit now. Siege is back in the pit lane. So what's happened to Siege? He's got a front wing change. He's had an issue there as Siege, unfortunately, as Chewy is off the circuit again, which is not good. It's not looking good for Siege or for Chewy at the moment. Unfortunately, the Williams driver and the Haas driver having their own issues on the circuit. Hopefully, they can get themselves back underway and take the race back to the other drivers as well. Fingers crossed that is Siege's one and only. Well, I think you might have to make another pit stop again, because I'm not quite sure how long those hard compound tyres can last. Can they last 35 laps? Not 35 laps, 45 laps even. We'll have to wait and see. But Siege there getting himself back out on track and back underway in the Williams as well. Good stuff indeed. At least he's soldiering on. Unfortunately for Chewy, unless he's being lapped, I don't think he's in the car anymore, so which is a big shame there for Chewy. He's decided to call it a day. So hopefully he can get himself back in, or potentially he can get himself back on the lead lap as well very soon. We'll have to wait and see when that's going to happen as well. Percy is leading the way still. He's back out in the lead after overtaking Pink Eye once again. He's got himself back up into P1 there and looking to try and extend the gap now. I think that it's going to be starting to switch into his favour, those hard compound tyres, I think, compared to the medium compound tyres. We think that the mediums might be the best tyre to be on for the first few laps, of course. Even better than the soft compound tyres, I'd imagine, because I think the soft compound tyres drop off too quickly. As Beat and Sick as Muck battling away into turn 1 again, and this is going to get very dicey once again indeed, as now around turns 2 and 3 we go. The Alfa Romeo trying to hang on round the outside. No, not such luck for the Alfa Romeo. Sick as Muck regains P8 position, and that is the Mercedes there, looking good indeed, as we got yellow flags again. It's for who is it for? It's for Immortal, is it? It's Immortal. Immortal's gone off again in Sector 1. He's had another issue there. He's got himself recovered there, but he's unfortunately losing out time and positions there to the to his racing rivals. And unfortunately, Immortal not having a good time here at the Miami Grand Prix at this stage of the race. That is as well. We're only not even a third of the way through just yet. Beat has got himself past Sicker's Muck once again there into the braking zone again for the beginning of Sector 2, well, the end of Sector 2, I should say. Again, they're making contact. I'm not quite sure what Sicker's Muck is doing there. He's going to be driving into the side of that Alfa Romeo there at any stage, that point of the corner there. And the Alfa Romeo has regained P8 for the time being. Again, there's both these two on the hard compound tyres, so they're going to be going long in this stint regardless of where they are on the track. And I think these two are just going to be stuck together for the rest of this race as well. Once again, down the back straight we go. Sicker's Muck has used up a lot of ERS there. He's not much electrical energy to play with at this stage of the race. So unfortunately, that is the case there for the Mercedes driver. He is done and dusted there for this on this occasion. Then, and that is that. I think, to be honest, I think we're already pretty much done and dusted. Sicker's Muck, they're going to try and come back at him as well, but I don't think there's going to be any position changes in this one for the time being. Is there into turn 1 we go? No moves just not yet. Anyway. We'll have to wait and see if there's going to be any moves down the next straight as well. Bannister and Siege switching places there, down in P16 and 17 there. Bannister now dropping down behind the Williams driver on the fresher hard compound tyres. Well, they will have been warmed up a bit now as well, so that'll be nice and toasty there for the Williams driver. And up into P16 he goes. Can he get himself further up the order and get himself back in the frame for some points potentially as well? We'll have to wait and see. I think it is possible there for Siege, and Bannister could be brought along with him as well. Kydell picks up the next penalty for the McLaren driver. Unfortunately, that is not good news there on lap 14 of 57. And it's got into a bit of a lull here now on we're on to lap 15 now, aren't we? Starting lap 15. We are about just about a third of the way through the race. We're coming up to. We're just over a quarter of the way through the race now, I should say. So yeah, it's getting a bit more of a quiet stage now of this race. We're very chilled out and very calm and collected. So yeah, that is that. The Acid Masters has decided to call it a day there on the soft compound tyres. He decided that that's enough on those soft compound tyres. He's going to go on to the medium compound tyres now. He's done 15 laps there on the mediums, on the softs, I should say. So can he do 20 laps on the medium compound tyres? Well, that will take him to lap 35. That could potentially get him to a frame left. He can do soft, medium to the end of this Grand Prix. We'll have to wait and see if that's going to play out for the Red Bull driver. He's come out in between Beat and Sicker's Muck. That is one hell of a place to come out in between, because we've seen those two don't hold back when they start battling, do they? So that is very interesting stuff indeed. Oh, and almost into the back of the Red Bull goes the Mercedes. He's managed to keep himself just out of reach, but now I think with those holder medium compound tyres, the Mercedes with Sicker's Muck will be very intrigued in trying to get past that Red Bull now, as we go down the back straight towards the next complex of corners as well. But with the ERS assistance, I think he's got himself a nice little gap there down the back of the order. I think we've got a problem there for Bannister. Bannister's off the circuit again. He's lost out to, as Pink Eye sets the fastest lap of the race there. That is good news indeed for Pink Eye on the medium compound tyres. It shows that they're not going off too badly to get himself back underway in this race. Same for Bannister as well. He's got himself underway. Oh, he needs to make sure he keeps himself on the circuit. He's lost that right end plate, hasn't he? Unfortunately, on that Alpine, needs to get himself back to the pit lane to sort that out. Chewy, I don't think, is in this race. So unfortunately for Chewy, I think he's either being lapped or he's just not in the car. Unfortunately for Chewy, which hopefully is the former, not the latter. But there we go then. Pink Eye there just doing his best there to keep up with the Aston Martin for the time being, which is good news. It'll be reciprocated for himself later on in this race if he can hold on to those hard compound tyre runners at this stage, the likes of Lucas Percy, who's no slouch indeed. Then potentially he can get himself back up the order later on in this race and be battling for the race lead as well later on. Acid Masters has dropped Sicker's Muck there after those medium compound tyres are switched on now. He's now all over the back of the Alfa Romeo of Beat there, trying to get himself back up into P7 there in the Red Bull car, looking good indeed on that two-stop strategy. Troy picks up a penalty as well. That is not good news there for the now podium sitter of Troy in P3. He's got himself up from P19 to P3 as well in the first few laps of this race, and he's looking good. Here comes Acid Masters there with the ERS and the DRS there. Into the braking zone we go, and the Red Bull has got ahead, has he? Just about. He's got the cars, well, he's definitely got the car ahead of him, of the Alfa Romeo that is, but they're still battling side by side through there for some reason. And there we go, the Red Bull driver now concedes, well sorry, the Alfa Romeo just concedes there, and the Red Bull of Acid Masters is up into P7 now for the time being. But will we see Beat try and battle back there down this straight with the DRS as well? Let's find out. It's going to be a bit of a heavy braking zone indeed coming up. Let's have a look and see if it's going to go to plan as Chewy picks up a penalty. Unfortunately for Chewy, that is a penalty that is not good news. Same for Percy. Percy picks up a penalty as well. And Danny has got himself ahead of his teammate Sickers Muck. I'm not quite sure what the team orders there are, because I would imagine that the medium compound tyres are not in the best of conditions at this stage of the race compared to those hard compound tyres. Nonetheless, the Mercedes have had some team orders and switched the cars around. Beat there in P8. He's now trying to hold on to the back of Acid Masters on those fresh medium compound tyres, but I think the fresh mediums will be too much there for the Alfa Romeo to try and cope with at this stage of the Grand Prix. And I think Acid Masters has gone for a good result potentially here if he can keep the race going the way it's been going for him in the first 17 laps or so. We'll have to wait and see how it all unfolds. Of course, plenty of laps to go. We've got 40 laps to go actually. There's still quite a lot to go, I think. Blimey. Trying to count that was quite a lot of counting, that was, but I think they've got I think it's quite a long Grand Prix, this one. I'm not quite sure, I haven't really measured it out, but we're doing what we're doing in terms of lap time, 1 minute 20s I think, or 1 minute 30s even as well, and we've got almost 60 laps, so that is 90 minutes pretty much of racing, full stop, that is, without any safety cars or VSCs, etc. So yeah, there's quite a lot of racing to be done here in Miami. Down the order, Reflection and Kiki switching places again. These two battling, I should say, keep on going. These ones as well. The battle resumes between the McLaren and the Ferrari. They don't want to give up this battle as well. It's been a very intense one throughout the first few laps as well. But there we go. The McLaren now once again ahead of his rival. We'll have to wait and see if that changes as well. Sickers Muck coming back at his teammate though, and it looks like it was almost contact between the two of them there. I'm not quite sure if what the team orders here are between the Mercedes drivers, but it looks like Danny is staying in the lead. Vessier has let his teammate through, I think, there of Acid Masters now up into P6 goes Acid Masters there. 16 seconds is the gap now to Jinner in P5, but he's got the much fresher tyres now on that Red Bull, which is looking promising indeed. I would imagine for the next few laps or so that gap's going to come down between the top 5 and the Red Bull here, as we can see the extra pace there on those much fresher medium compound tyres. Out in front, Pink Eye still slotting in behind. He's not using much ERS there, is the Ferrari driver, and I think that might be what he's trying to do for the rest of this stint, is just trying to save up the ERS for later on, and then when he's going to box, then he'll use a bit more of that power to try to extend the gap there, so when he comes out the pit lane he's at least battling still with Percy, or maybe even ahead of the Aston Martin driver. We'll have to find out. Vessier there in P7, he's got himself right behind his teammate. If he can cling on to his teammate, he can use that extra pace on those fresh medium compound tyres for Acid Masters to pull himself along, and that will be very helpful indeed for Vessier, and I think Beat will be very happy about that as well, because he's joined up to this battle as well. After battling tooth and nail there with Sickers Muck there, he's dropped the Mercedes driver by over 4 seconds now, so the gap has really extended indeed between the two. Vessier hasn't got DRS here. Here comes the Alfa Romeo there into the braking zone. It's deep on the brakes there, but no moves being made just yet. So there we go then. That is that. I think Vessier just looking to get to the pit window now on those medium compound tyres, as are the rest of them, I think, further up the order and around the edge of the points as well, to try and get those medium compound tyres into a nice little pit window there to get onto the hards, or potentially go medium soft there from here on in, as we've seen the reverse of for Acid Masters as well. Acid Masters has brought that gap down to P5 there, down to 15.8, so it's gained a second in the last lap or so, so that gap is coming down, but will it come down enough is the question for Acid Masters. We'll have to find out. Apologies, just needed a nice little drinks break there. Lucas Persic, that's the fastest lap of the race. Even with the pressure there from Pink Eye behind, he's keeping the Ferrari honest actually on those hard combat tyres. Setting the fastest lap just shows that he's got the pace there in that Aston Martin still to unleash when he needs to as well. Kiki and Reflection once again resuming their battle there through this stadium section as well. Kiki's gone for a spin. Kiki's spun the car, and that is bad news there indeed, especially for as Kiki now he's lost out, I think, to Bacardi, who's dropped down the order. Unfortunately for Kiki, he's still been able to keep going as well, though, with no damage, which is very good news indeed. He's got himself some DRS as well, I think, from that Haas who's in front of him, so that is not all doom and gloom. But yeah, unfortunately there for Kiki, he's had to recover the car and get himself back underway after having that spin there through the underpass section as well. Unfortunate, it seems we just saw the end of that as well, which is a big shame. Beat has got himself past Vessier. Yellow flags for an Aston Martin. It's Bacardi. Bacardi's had a problem there at the last few corners. Unfortunately, he's got himself back underway though, which is good. But yeah, there's no damage, I don't think, there on the Aston Martin. He's just got his damage to his pride. Unfortunately, is the only damage that he's got. But he hopefully can get himself back underway and get himself back up into this race as well. We'll have to wait and see. But so far, it's not looking good for Bacardi on their 16 laps though on the soft compound tyres. I'd imagine the reason why he spun is because they're getting a bit too tired there on that Aston Martin. No pun intended. But there we go then. He's gone again. Has the Aston Martin those corners there, the complex of corners there through turns one or sector one, I should say, really make it easy to spin the car, and unfortunately that has caused him once again to have another spin as we go through into the next complex of corners as well. And I think he's gone again for Bacardi. Those tyres are done and they're overheated, and now he can't get them back on. You can't get them back in the right order now for Bacardi, which is a big shame indeed. As I think what's going on here. I think I'm not quite sure what's going on here really. I think they're being lapped, these two, by Lucas Percy and by Pink Eye there as they're coming through here. Here come the leaders. Yes, they are being lapped there by the race leaders there of Percy and Pink Eye. Unfortunately there for Bacardi, it was like I said, those spins have cost him, and they cost him dearly now as well, as he's now off the lead lap. Pink Eye there just trying to stick with the Aston Martin still as we go through now once again to finish off another lap there, to finish off lap 21. We've got Reflection in the pit lane. Reflection's call it a day there, 20 laps on the medium compound tyres, and he's back onto another set of mediums as well, so he's going to be looking to go medium in the first two stints. That would indicate that he has to come into the pits again, because of course unless it starts raining, we have got to use two different sets of tyres throughout the Grand Prix. So mediums, hards or softs, you've got to use at least two different sets of those yellow flags, and it's for I think I'm not quite sure who it's for. It might be for Bannister. Unfortunately, Bannister there, I think, yeah, having a bit of an issue there through the underpass section as well. That underpass is catching people out as Pink Eye is in the pit lane. He's called it a day on the mediums. He's back onto a set of mediums, I should say. So again, making it look like a very easy two-stop strategy here. So they're looking to go about sort of 20-21 laps on the medium compound tyres, and then onto the soft compound tyres at the end of the race. Kydell carries on though. He's got that P3 back from Pink Eye, but I think Pink Eye there on the fresh medium compound tyres won't take long before he can get himself back past the McLaren for that podium place, and we'll have to wait and see how he gets through and when he gets through as well. It'll be very close indeed, but there we go. It's been a good race indeed from Pink Eye. He's done a very good job of controlling his pace. Yellow flags down the order. It's yellow flags for I can't remember, can't see who. Oh, Bannister going all over the place he's off the circuit as well. I'm not quite sure what happened to Bannister there. Yeah, I don't think he's having a good time out there, unfortunately, for Bannister. And yeah, like I said, he's just crashing into the walls. And we've seen this before from Bannister. He just needs to get himself back to the pit lane and retire. I'd rather he retire in the pits than cause an unnecessary safety car that ruins the race for other drivers who are still on their normal race schedule. But yeah, that is unfortunate if that does happen again. But there we go, which is a big shame indeed. Yeah, there we go. That is exactly what we don't want. So Bannister there is just having a few issues there, trying to get his temperament under control and get himself back to the pit lane. But there we go. Hopefully he can do that and not cause any more problems there for the drivers who are coming through. There we go. He is stopped on track there, so hopefully that will just disqualify the car. No, he's carrying on again. So never mind then. Right, like I said, we'll have to wait and see. Hopefully he can get himself back to the pit lane. Into the pits comes Troy. There he's onto the hard compound tyres, so he's looking to get those hard potentially to the end of the race. Is he? We'll have to wait and see. Immortal's got himself up into P10. He's back into the points pen positions now as the championship winner. Kydell coming out the pit lane now as well. Is he going to be ahead of Acid Masters? It's going to be close indeed between the Red Bull and the McLaren. The McLaren is behind for the time being as Bannister is crashed out. And that is, again, I think another crash. We'll have to wait and see. Hopefully that isn't a safety car, as we can see on board with Siege now in the Williams. Let's have a look and see what's happened there to the Alpine. The Alpine in the wall there at the exit of the penultimate corner there. Thankfully, so far, it's not been any safety cars or anything like that, as Bannister has left the session there as well. So that is him out of this Grand Prix. Done and dusted there for Bannister. Unfortunately, he's not had much luck in this Grand Prix, which is a big shame indeed. But Siege there just getting himself on with it. He's done 11 laps on those hard compound tyres. He's got 15 seconds there to the guys ahead of him. But of course, there's quite a big bunch ahead of him who haven't pit yet. So he could still be within the points pen positions and later on in this race. We'll have to wait and see. Siege has done a good job here of keeping it quite calm and consistent after a bit of a difficult first stint. Switched onto the hard compound tyres, and he's just been able to just get on with it now and keep going under these circumstances as well. Even though he's not in the place he wants to be, he started of course having P4. He wants to be further up the order, I would imagine, but he's done a good job there of getting on with his getting his head down and just getting those lap times in. He's bringing the gap down there to the drivers ahead of him on the older tyres as well. So we'll have to wait and see what he can do in this in the rest of this race. But good stuff from Siege for carrying on in this one. Kydell on the fresh medium compound tyres is after Acid Masters at this stage of the race. Of course, Acid Masters is on a slightly reverse strategy here, starting on the soft compound tyres. He did 15 laps there on the softs, as Vesio is in the pit lane as well. Vesio, his teammate there, is into the box for the Red Bull team and onto another set of hard compound tyres. So some of the drivers here, I think, going on to a one stop. Some trying to do a two stop here. We'll have to wait and see who's going to be which one's going to be the favoured strategy, of course, in terms of pace. That is. But like I said, Acid Master there did pit very early on from the soft compound tyres, did 15 laps or so on the soft, so now looking to do a medium to the end of this race, whereas the likes of Kydell, I think, is looking to do medium soft, so still has to pit again as well. But look, he's trying to get himself past the Red Bull. It's going to be very tough indeed, it looks like, as DRS is not just enough to get himself around that Red Bull, even though they're both equally powered. The Red Bull of Acid Master stays ahead there for the time being there into the underpass section. We go. And that is that. Big Hardy's back in the pit lane. He's on 20 laps on the soft compound tyres. That's one hell of a stint indeed there for Bacardi there in the Aston Martin. That is an amazing stint, I would have to say. Fantastic stuff indeed. Here comes Kydell trying to come back at the Red Bull, though, once again down the back straight towards the braking zone. There's not much ERS there available for Kydell. He's got the move done though. He's up the inside. He's up into P5 for the time being as well. Acid Masters will look to come back at him though down the main straight though, but I think Kydell there on the fresh medium compound tyres now has got the pace and got the grip to get himself back underway there in this race and potentially go after the likes of Giller as well, who's not yet pitted either. He's done 24 laps there on the medium compound tyres, and Percy of course is yet to pit as well, but he's on the hard compound tyres looking to go much longer. Serious Rush was in the pit lane there on the mediums. He's on 24 laps there on the medium compound tyres. Fantastic stint indeed. There's still quite a few ahead to pit as well. But let's have a look and see what tyres the Haas driver is going to go on to. Is he going to go on to the medium compound tyres? He's on to the mediums again as well. So that is interesting stuff indeed. I would imagine he's going to have a shorter stint on these mediums than he did on the first stint, which is probably quite good indeed for Serious Mushroom, because he can go a bit faster now in this second stint on those medium compound tyres once he's got them warmed up, that is, because now, like I said, he's done 25 laps there on the first set of medium compound tyres. He probably needs to get this set to about lap 42, 43 before going on to the softs for the last 15 laps or so. So he's still got he's got about 16, no, Yep, 16 or so, 16, maybe 17 laps to do on these medium compound tyres, which means he's extended the first stint just to make sure he's got that extra grip, extra pace in the second stint there on the medium compound tyres. So well thought out there by Mushroom. We'll have to wait and see how it plays out in the race as well. Gaps are starting to emerge, and it seems to be a bit quieter now around the order. Pink Eye there has pit, of course. He's got a 16-second gap now to Percy there out in the lead of this race. Of course, Percy, it looks like he's going to be doing the reverse of Troy's strategy here, and starting on the medium hard compound tyres there and going to the medium compound tyres towards the end. Immortal's got himself up into P8 there, getting past Danny, who's in the pit lane now. Danny's pit from the old medium compound tyres. It's a very slow stop here. He must have been serving a 5-second penalty. I'm not quite sure what for, but he served the penalty nonetheless, and that is Danny there into the pits. He's on to the medium compound tyres. Where will he come out compared to Siege and to Mushroom as well? Mushroom is going to be coming around the final couple of corners there. You can see the Mercedes coming out of the pit lane now, so he's going to be behind the Mercedes' Mushroom for the time being. Siege has got himself ahead of the Mercedes there with that penalty as well. So Siege now on the brink of the points paying positions. Like I was saying earlier, Siege doing a great job in this race of just sticking at it and getting his head down and going for it, and trying to get the best out of a difficult situation there after that first stint. And looking good indeed is the Williams driver there to get some points potentially for himself and the team as well. Pink Eye there sets the fastest lap of the race there. That is good news for Pink Eye. He's got the gap down to 15 seconds. The gap's coming down pretty quickly there to Percy as well. Can he get himself back within range of the Aston Martin driver? Of course, what he needs to do is try and get himself within range, but he actually wants to try and get himself a nice little gap as well, because he's going to be going on to the soft compound tyres later on at the end of this race, whereas Percy is going to be pitting in about well, what would I say? Probably in about 10 laps time or so onto the medium compound tyres. Jinner's had a problem. No, it's not Jinner, it's somebody else. It's Vessier. Vessier's had a problem there through the underpass section. He's just in the wall there. I'm not quite sure what he's doing there. He's stuck himself in the wall, and now reversing back as well at the underpass. I think it has been a bit of a treacherous. He's lost the front wing there, unfortunately, has Vessier, and that is a big problem indeed for the Red Bull driver, which is a big shame as well. He's doing very well. He's only just pit from the hard compound tyres, but now he's got himself back to the pit lane to get that front wing sorted. But big shame indeed for Vessier. Hopefully he can get himself back underway. Like I said, the gap in the lead is down to 14 seconds as well. Pink Eye is taking hand over fist out of that Aston Martin at the moment on those fresh medium compound tyres. But of course, like I was saying, as Vessier has crashed somewhere, and yes, I'm not quite sure what's happened there to Vessier. He's had a problem, but here we go. Let's have a look and see if we can see on board with Vintage. I'm not quite sure what's going on here. It seems like yeah, Vessier has done exactly the same as Bannister and crashed into the wall on the exit of the final couple of corners, which is a big shame. Thankfully, no safety car there, because otherwise that would have cost him even more time. Chewy is back in the pits onto the soft compound tyres, so that is going to be an extra stop there indeed for the Haas driver, potentially going for an extra point though, as like I said, the gap out in front now 13.9 seconds. It keeps coming down every corner as well. Those fresh medium compound tyres are much better than the old hard compound tyres, it would seem, and you would expect as well. But it looks like Pink Eye is putting some good pace there through those medium compound tyres to try and get that gap down to Lucas Percy out in the lead. Elsewhere, let's have a look and see what Danny's up to. Danny is dropped behind Siege at the time for the time being. He's not got DRS at this stage as well, so Siege has pulled out that 1 second gap, and now Siege back up into the points paying positions, which is great news indeed there for the Williams driver. I think because we saw him pit early as well, we might see Siege going onto the soft compound tyres later on in this race. Kiki's had another problem there on the exit this time of the underpass section. He's got he's got wing damage there as well. I think that left end plate is missing. So he's going to have to come into the pits again, unfortunately, for the Ferrari driver, sorry, and get that front wing sorted once again. Again, the difficulties there through that underpass section is coming true once again, as we've seen a few mistakes already through there, which is a big shame there, unfortunately, for the drivers there. They're struggling through that corner, or those few corners as well. Kiki there back to the pit lane to get himself sorted once again, and unfortunately picks up a 5-second penalty there for speeding in the pits as well. Vintage is back in the pits. Vintage has done 22 laps there on those hard compound tyres, which is a good stint indeed, and he's got himself sorted and back into the lane as well. Kiki is getting that front wing sorted as well. He's back out on track. Unfortunately for Chewy, Chewy's on the soft compound tyres there. He's got himself sorted, but he's a lap down compared to Kiki and Vintage, I think. So unfortunately for Chewy, he's had those struggles earlier on in the race, so he's going to have to try and get himself back, or get himself the fastest lap point or something to get himself some points in this race later on. Right then, elsewhere, it's still going somewhere. We've got, I think we're about halfway through now, aren't we? What's 29 times 2? 9 times 2 is 18, 20 times 2 is 40, so that's 58. So yeah, we're over halfway through now. So we're getting to the second half of this race. Danny has got back past Siege with some DRS assistance, I would imagine, as Siege there just dropping down the order at this stage. He needs to try and get himself back up into the points paying positions, of course, because that will be where he gets the points, which is quite obvious. That's a Michael Owen commentary line if you haven't heard one before. But there we go. So Siege now trying to get himself back up into the race. Vessia has pit and quit, so unfortunately Vessia, they're just leaving the session there, is out of the race at this stage, and so that is him done and dusted there for the Miami Grand Prix. 3 drivers already out. Martin there, he DNF'd, he pit and quit in the first few laps, even after having a bit of a difficult start. I think dropping down the order because he was in AI due to the fact that he lagged out of the session, unfortunately, at the very beginning of the formation lap, which is a big shame. Bannister there had a big smash there, and indeed, after losing all of his front wing and having a few spins on that lap before ending up in a wall, and the same for Vessia as well, unfortunately. So those two drivers are having difficulties there trying to get themselves sorted, and that has cost them their places in the races, unfortunately. But there we go. Then there's still 17 drivers still going at it. Yellow flags, yellow flags for who is that? It's for a Haas. It's not Serious Mushroom though. I think it is for Chewy. Chewy again having to, I think, just letting people through here at this stage, out in the lead. The lapped cars are just getting out the way there of that is a reflection, I think. But Kaidel is coming back round there on the fresh and medium compound tyres. We've got yellow flags again for Ferrari. This time it's a Ferrari. Oh, I thought it was Ferrari of Kiki again. Kiki's having struggles there through sector 1. He's got himself back underway again, but yeah, unfortunately, it's just not going well there for Kiki at this stage of the race. He needs to make sure that he keeps himself calm, keeps those tyres calm as well, and gets himself back underway safely and securely. There's a bit of a lull now in the race, as you can tell, just waiting for the drivers there to get themselves back in the battles, but I think that's just because there's a few stints there still going on. Some of the drivers are extending their stints there, of course, increasing the gaps there to the drivers behind because they haven't come into the pits just yet. When there's a bit more pit stop activity, we expect the battles to resume, of course. So like I said, the likes of Percy, the likes of Acid Masters, the likes of Beat, the likes of AC Immortal and Sick as Muck, the likes of Siege will be coming into the pits very soon, I'd imagine. And then there might be some more pit stop activity as well further around the order as well. So it's all still to play for. Beat has got himself back up into P6 there. It just shows the pace there from the Alfa Romeo driver there. He was having issues there, wasn't he, earlier on? Of course, that 5-place grid penalty in qualifying didn't help him, and he had to get himself back underway there and try and battle through the field a bit more than he would have liked to, I think. But he managed to get himself back up into P6 there for the time being. He will drop back down, of course, with the pit stops, but he won't be that far behind because, of course, it's the same for Immortal and for Sick as Muck there. On those 30-lap old hard compound tyres, they will have to pit very soon as well, so he won't drop out to the points paying positions, I don't think, actually, for Beat, which is very promising indeed there for the Alfa Romeo driver. And of course we saw him battling for the first few laps indeed, up to lap 10 I think it was, with Sick as Muck there. He's now almost 20 seconds ahead there of the Mercedes driver, so that is almost a pit stop in hand to the to his rivals there, who have yet to make a stop just yet. So it's not all doom and gloom just yet there for the Alfa Romeo driver. He's done a good job so far in this this race of recovery, and maybe my candidate there for driver of the day, of course, who's done a good job, kept it clean and consistent, had some difficult times there through this race already, but put in a good shift indeed. Same for Siege. I'd have to say Siege has done a fantastic job indeed as well. But we're on to lap 32 of 57. That means we've got 25 laps to go. We've still got quite a bit of a way to go. To be fair, like I said, this race is, I think, a bit longer than we thought, so which is no surprise to me, because I don't even know what I'm getting myself into when I start commentating on these races. But it's been one hell of a Grand Prix so far. Thankfully, it's been a very fair, very clean Grand Prix as well so far as well, which is always good news when I'm trying to commentate on a race. That is, unlike the other commentators we've got around the world, I do like a nice boring race, because it means that there's less adminning to do afterwards, which is why it makes it very simple and very easy for me to do after the race as well, which is good stuff. But that is just my personal preference. I know that some other people, like Ginger Rage that is, will prefer that the race is absolutely chaotic. As Beat has left the session there. I was just commentating on his how well he was doing. He's now left the session. He needs to get himself back in as soon as he can, because that, as Troy has left this, I think it's just me. Maybe it's just me. Let me just leave and I'll just join back. Where's the invite gone? Why is it taking so long for me to communicate with these servers? Oh, come on, just get on with it. There we go. Right then. Right, so jump back in there. Hopefully we're all sorted. And we'll be back underway. I just need to just jump back in there. I think we're all good. Yeah, looks like some pit activity for the drivers as well. I just needed to sort that out, because I'm not quite sure if I think it was just me there who's left. Ginner's off the circuit. Not quite sure what's happened to Ginner as well, but he's got himself back underway. Beat is still out of the session. I think Acid Masters is out of the session as well. I'm not quite sure what is going on here. Right then, I'll just invite everybody, I think, and hope for the best. Who's not in and who's not out? I don't know. Shake it all about. They need to get the reserves in, I think, really, don't we? Because they're the ones who aren't part of the group. Siege is there. This is the problem we see, because I don't know who's who. Where's everybody? You're already in, that's good. Yeah, you're already in. Yeah. Well, we'll just send him an invite and hope that everyone can join back. Well, I need to invite Troy. Oh, is there a better way of doing this? Yeah, for some reason I don't know whether if people are offline as well, not helping me trying to get the invites out to you, of course, is it? So I'll tell you what, let me try and do it this way. Sigur's Muck is in. Troy. I'm already in. Lucas Percy, thanks very much though. Let's have a look and see if Picardi is in. Right, bear with me. Bear with us 1 second. We're going to try and sort out. Picardi is in, so I think we're all in, to be honest, apart from some people. Acid Masters is back in. Jin is back in. The Mortal's still going. Beats not got back. He is back in now, isn't he? I think. Is he back in? Yes, he is back in. Danny's still in. Siege. Pink Eye's left the session now as well. I'm not quite sure what's happened to him. He's had a smash somewhere. Sick as Muck is not in the car, but he's apparently in the session. because I can't invite him. Reflection's still going, Vintage is still going, Kiki's still going, Bacardi is not back in, Chewy is still going. So there we go. Not quite sure what's going on there, but that is that. So we'll have to just crack on with what we've got. Hopefully the other people can join into the session. We'll have just double checks. Troy is back in the car. It looks like I'm not sure if Kaidel's back in the car, but we've sent him an invite, I think. Well, I'm pretty sure I have. So Kaidel, there he is. Oh no, he's not back in the car. There we go, send him an invite. Who's next? Bannister's out of the race anyway. Unfortunately, Pink Eye is out of the Grand Prix. Bacardi was the other one, wasn't he? But I don't know where he's not. He is. I can't invite him, unfortunately, because he's already in the session apparently. So hopefully Pink Eye's joined, but he's DNF'd. I'm not quite sure what's going on here. So right, that was that then. So Sick as Muck has got a 3-second penalty. Unfortunately for Sick as Muck, Kaidel was back in the session finally, so that is good news. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what happened there, and it seemed like it was as Pink Eye's left the session again, but unfortunately I think he just realised that he's not in the car, that's all. But yeah, unfortunately Pink Eye, he's not taking part anymore in this race. Serious Mushroom hasn't joined back either. Doesn't look, unless he's being lapped there. I think he's just being lapped actually there for the Haas driver, so he is. Reflection has left the session now. I don't know what's going on here, because nobody's. I'm not telling anybody to leave the session. So yeah, I don't know what's going on here. We'll have to just see if I can invite Reflection back as well. But I don't know why you just leave the session. There you go. Now he's back in. Perfect. Right, there we go. Good stuff. So we should have everybody in, I think. I don't know if Bacardi's just being lapped or if he's no. Chewy is gone for a spin there, and that is big spin indeed for Chewy. I'm still trying to figure out who's not in the session and who is, to be honest. Serious Mushroom being overtaken by Sick as Muck. Is Siege in the car, or has he just been lapped? I can't even tell. I think he's been lapped there because that's Lucas Percy, so fingers crossed then that'll mean that Siege is in the car. Well, let's have a look and see if that's Lucas Percy. It is Lucas Percy, so I think it's just Bacardi who's not joined back. So that's that really. So AC Immortal there has taken the fastest lap there. Yeah, Bacardi has got a new invite. Because I can't invite him to this lobby anymore, so hopefully he can get himself back in the session, or just take control of his car. Well, he is back in the session, I believe, because otherwise I would be able to send him an invite, wouldn't I? So there we go. Hopefully he can just get himself back in the car and then take control and get on with it. But unfortunately, I think he's the only one who's not in the car at the moment. So thankfully everybody got themselves back in the car as quickly as possible, which is good news. Siege there is right behind the race leader there of Lucas Percy there. Unfortunately, Pink Eye there, we didn't see what happened because we were trying to reboot the session, but we were trying to get ourselves back in the session there, and Pink Eye there seemed to be out of the session when we got back in, so bit of an odd one that, but unfortunately there it's lost. There's a bit of a battle there for the race lead. Lucas Percy there is in the commanding position for the time being for at this stage of the race. Of course, he's done 37 laps there on those hard compound tires. I think we might be getting towards the phase where we start to think pitting on to the medium compound tires, if I can get my words out. There we go. So there we go. So 30 seconds is the gap there to Troy in P2. Kaidel in P3 there. He's looking good indeed. Acid Masters, we expect, will have to pit again as well because he has gone soft mediums so far in this race. As there is a Williams again of, I think that's vintage this time, isn't it? As Siege is being passed by Sick as Muck this time now. Up into P9 goes the Mercedes, and down into P10 goes the Williams. They've both ghosted as well, though, because I think they're close indeed to the back of the Aston Martin of Lucas Percy. Chewy's back in the pit lane there from the soft compound tyres. He didn't leave the session, thankfully. I don't think he did. Mortal's got himself past Jinner, because Jinner's had a problem, I think, there. Has he? Yeah, he's had, or some. I think it's him who's had an issue there. He's got himself back underway, but he has lost out there to Immortal there, who's up into P5 now, recovering after a very difficult first half of the race there. Immortal there, he's got himself back underway into P5 and can crack on now with the remainder of this race, thankfully for Jinner. And there's people complaining about the desync, but no, I think you're all sorted now, to be honest, because everyone's back in the session and everyone's okay. So good stuff. Right. Well, that was fun. Anyway, so Siege now dropping off the back there. Serious Mushroom coming back into this fight as well for the last points pen positions as well. I think it's going to be close indeed. Yellow flags for Chewy. Chewy's just come out of the pit lane as well. That is very bad news indeed for Chewy. Unfortunately, though, he's got himself back underway. Yeah, very difficult race there for Chewy, but thankfully, very well played. Fair play to him as well, sorry, I should say, for keeping going in this race. Here comes Mushroom on the back of Siege. Can he make the move there into the final couple of corners? He's got the move done, I think. He's on the inside. He's made the move stick as well on those fresher medium compound tyres compared to Siege, that is, on those old hards. Into the pits comes the race leader as well, so this is good news for Serious Mushroom. He's now unlapped himself as well, same for Siege, so that is looking promising indeed. Can the mediums do 27 laps is the question, though, that no, 20, yeah, 27, 31 laps, though, is the question for Serious Mushroom. I don't think so. I think he's going to have to pit very soon indeed for the soft compound tyres in the next 5 laps or so, or in 5 laps or so, I suppose. Lap 45 to 57 would be good enough for 12 lap running on the soft compound tyres, so it's not all done and dusted just yet for Serious Mushroom. He's going to be very fast indeed, though, in the final stint. Same for Siege as well. I would imagine Siege is looking to pit very soon also, but not just yet in the Williams car in P11 for the time being. They're trying to get himself back past Mushroom, but no dice just yet. He's going to have to bide his time for the time being, that is. Gino there in P7 there after dropping down the order. I think he was in P5, wasn't he? But I think the issues that he did have a spin, didn't he? We saw him having a spin when we recovered there back to the session. Yeah, he's got himself back underway. Thankfully, he's got himself in the DRS now of beat as Immortal there. That's the fastest lap of the race so far. Like I said, still stops to come, I think, for the likes of Acid Masters, maybe for Kydell, and I would imagine for the likes of Danny as well. Yellow flags elsewhere, and it is. Well, I don't know where it is, so we can't find out. As Reflection's got himself back underway in P12 there. Kiki on the soft compound tyres as well, vintage in P14. Bacardi there isn't back in the session. As Lucas Percy's had a problem. Percy's had a problem there on the straight. I'm not quite sure what's going on here for Percy. Is there a puncture there for he's just onto fresh medium compound tyres. I'm not quite sure what's going on here for Percy. He must have a technical issue there that's costing him as Troy has taken the lead of this race, but Percy there, who was commanding the victory, is pulling out the way now of everybody. I'm not quite sure what's going on here. He's still moving forwards, and I think he's either just given up or he's got some sort of problem there with the car, and it looks like he's got himself back underway very briefly indeed, but no, not anymore. And I'm not quite sure what is going on there for the Aston Martin driver. It is a big shame indeed, because he's just spun the car as well out of the penultimate corner. He's had to reset the track there, which was he's off the circuit again. Just get back to the pit lane, please. Don't get into it. Don't cause a safety car now. But hopefully he can get himself up. I'm not quite sure what's happening there, because he's gone the throttle there enough. Well, the throttle there is definitely measuring some input there, but he's just struggling to get the car pointing in the right direction, it looks like. So yeah, not quite sure what is happening there for Lucas Percy there. He seems to be having some major problems indeed, and that is him retiring from the race and out of the session there. So that is unfortunately 5 drivers retired there from this Miami Grand Prix. Not having much luck indeed is some of the drivers there, especially through the latter part of this race. They're really struggling. They're dropping by the wayside, we should say. Serious Mushroom there is going to be very happy about that. He's gained a place though, so has Siege. They're up into P10, and now Reflection is going to be quite a way back there from the 2 ahead of him. Of course, we do expect Siege to make a pit stop. We might expect Reflection actually to make a pit stop as well. He's done 20 laps there on those medium compound tyres, so it's not all done and dusted just yet for Reflection either, I would imagine. So we'll have to wait and see how it's all going to play out later on in this race. I'm going to have another drinks break. Percy said the problems that he's having is because of the throttle pedal there. Again, the same issues that I think he was having, as we've got a problem there again for the Alfa Romeo of Beat. Their Beat is off the circuit. He's done 7 laps there on the medium compound tyres. He's back to the pit lane. And that is going to cost him a few places, I think, in this race. But potentially he can get onto a set of soft compound tyres and go to the end from here. It won't be too much. Well, we saw Acid Masters do about 15, 16 laps, didn't we, on the soft compound tyres. We saw his teammate of Martin, no, not Martin, sorry, it was Bacardi, wasn't it? Do, what was it, about 20 laps, I think it was, wasn't it, in one point, on the soft compound tyres. So it's not all doom and gloom just yet. He's going to come out ahead of Reflection, I would imagine, just about on the inside there of the pit lane there as well. So yeah, he's got himself, oh no, he's gone for a spin there at the exit of the pit lane as well. That is going to cost him, oh, is that going to cost him a front wing? I think not. I hope not as well. I think he's got himself back underway. But that spin there cost him. He was going to be getting out ahead of the McLaren anyway. I don't think he was just a bit too excited there, getting outside of the pit lane before the McLaren. They're trying to get himself ahead into P10, and he had that covered off, I think, already. But unfortunately, that spin there's cost him there that P10 position as well. And he's now got a bit of catching up to do there to get himself back up into the top 10 positions for a point in this race as well. We'll have to wait and see how he can do. Bacardi is joined the session about 10 laps too late. We did invite him back about 15-20 minutes ago, but he has now got himself back in the session. Lucas Percy, like I said, was saying that when he pitted, the throttle pedal stopped working, and he did have a similar issue, I think, in USA, didn't he? So yeah, I'm not quite sure if that's just a recurring issue or just maybe he doesn't want to be in the race anymore. But there we go. As Beat's got himself back after the Reflection, back after the McLaren, I should say, not the Reflection. Reflection is in the McLaren, but I'm not quite sure. I think Reflection might have had a problem there through the underpass section, and that has helped Beat there try and catch up to the back of this battle there. He's up into the points pen positions for the time being. He's got the P10 position there ahead of Reflection now as well, up into the points as he goes. Siege is in the pits, as is Mushroom as well. Mushroom's called it a day there on the medium compound tyres, onto the soft compound tyres he goes. So that is a good strategy call there indeed. Siege coming out the pit lane as well. They're going to drop behind for the time being, but of course now away they go on the soft compound tyres. Siege is on 10 lap hold on medium compound tyres, so he's got another 13 or so to go on that. So he's got to do 23 laps on those, another 23 laps, I suppose you could say, on the medium compound tyres. So that is going to be quite an interesting strategy call there indeed. They're not very new medium compound tyres there for the Williams driver, and Danny picks up a penalty. Unfortunately for Danny, he's doing a good job there in P6. Yellow flags for Mercedes. It might have been sick as muck there, but we couldn't quite tell, I should say. Bacardi's got himself back underway, now back in the kart. Chewy's still going as well down the order in P15. But yeah, like I said, unfortunately for Percy, both the race leaders, Pink Eye there, who was in P2, had an issue there. And then we've got Kiki back in the pit lane as well. So yeah, Pink Eye had an issue there, but everyone was leaving the session and getting themselves back in. And then Lucas Percy there, when he made that pit stop, the throttle pedal just messed him up there. And that was his race done and dusted, pretty much. He had to call his way back to the pit lane there to just to retire and get out of the way of the rest of the drivers. So, yeah, it was very odd indeed what was going on there. But nonetheless, he's everyone who's still going is still going. But unfortunately, it has cost five drivers there have dropped by the wayside. Unfortunately, Martin very early on he did say in the chat as well that he had technical issues as well. Always technical issues there for Acid Masters indeed. That looked like the wheel disconnection there or something like that, because he's off the circuit completely almost into the wall. Hopefully there's no damage there, but he's now got Immortal there chasing him down, and I think that is going to be Immortal there up into the podium places, which will be one hell of a result indeed for the AlphaTauri outfit there if he can get themselves a double podium. Immortal there takes P3 ahead of the Red Bull, and maybe there's a puncture, I think, actually, indeed. That could be a puncture, indeed, for the... no, he's carrying on. Why are you carrying on? I would just just go in the pits, mate. Dear. I'm not quite sure why Acid Masters has done 30 laps there on the medium compound tyres. I would expect the hards to do that far, but the mediums, not so much, and he's still carrying on. And I don't think he wants to go onto the soft compound tyres. He's done a soft medium stint. He's done... from lap 15, he went from the soft compound tyres onto these medium set that he's on now, but he's not stopping. He's not stopping, so that is a bit of an odd one there from Acid Masters indeed. He's still going though, and at this stage, which is still quite a mean feat indeed on those medium compound tyres. But there we go, Serious Mushroom there has got himself past Reflection there up into P9, and getting some good points on the board there for the Haas team so far. Can he get himself further up the order though? There's penalties indeed for the drivers ahead, and maybe a few stops indeed for the drivers ahead as well, so it's not all done and dusted just yet. Serious Mushroom there on the soft compound tyres is going to be much faster indeed as well at this stage of the race, so needs to try and use those soft compound tyres to his advantage at this in these first few laps. So good stuff indeed from Mushroom as well. Reflection there trying to cling onto the back there on those 24 lap old medium compound tyres. Will Reflection have to pit as well? We might expect that to happen very soon indeed as well. We'll have to wait and see. But if he needs to pit earlier rather than later now, because of course he wants to make the best of those soft compound tyres that he will likely put onto that McLaren in the next stop, if that is going to happen, of course. One person who is going to have to come into the pits is Acid Masters, and I think he's made his way into the pit lane now. He has got himself into the pit lane there. 31 laps there on the medium compound tyres. He's going to lose out, I think, to Jinner, but potentially not to Danny, so he's not going to lose out too much. He's done a medium soft stint around here, or strategy around here. That is one hell of a strategy call, I would have to say, and it could be about to pay off as well. We'll have to wait and see. He's going to come out of the pit lane now in P5, and he's going to be chasing down Jinner on 20 lap old hard compound tyres, even on the fresh set of softs. So that is a pretty good strategy call indeed. If Acid Masters can get this right, I would have to say if he can get within the penalty range as well of Jinner. He's got 3 seconds as Jinner there, so it's not all doom and gloom for Acid Masters just yet. He could get himself up into P3, up into P4 potentially if there's any pit stops there for the top two as well. That he could get himself up into onto podium place. I should say. Reflection there into the pits there. He has called it a day there on those on the medium compound tyres. He's onto the soft compound tyres now. Going to come back out in P11. Sorry, I should say. He's comfortably ahead of P12 of Vintage for the time being. But now he's going to have to try and use those soft compound tyres to the best of their advantage to try and catch up to the back of Siege, who's now going to be quite a bit of a distance away. And now he's got those tyres warmed up as well, of course, after pitting as well. Acid Masters now got a 7-second gap there to Jinner. Jinner's got a 3-second penalty, so he only needs to gain 4 seconds, does Acid Masters, in the next 10 laps. We're on to lap 47 of 57. So we're on the final stretch now for the drivers. Kiki picks up another penalty, unfortunately, for Kiki. It's just not going his way tonight, which is a big shame indeed. The same for Chewy, but they're sticking at it, which is a good thing to see. Here comes Acid Masters now onto the pace now, looking to go for it in the Red Bull as well. He's got a 6-second gap there. Danny is in the pit lane. There's Danny calling it a day there on the mediums as well. So interesting call there from Danny. He's got 10 laps as well to do on those soft compound tyres, and I think that's probably where the best window is there for the soft compound tyres. We saw them do, we saw them get up to 20 laps there, didn't we, in the first stint there for Bacardi, and 15 laps there in the first stint for Acid Masters as well. So we know that they can do 15 laps comfortably, but can they do them? Can they do them that comfortably? As I'm not quite sure what Kiki was up to there, because Kiki doesn't need to worry about dodging out of the way of that Mercedes. He's ghosted, so it's not a problem. Oh, Kiki, they're going off the circuit a bit there, and that is a bit of an unorthodox circuit line around this Miami Grand Prix. He's got himself ahead of Danny, but I think Danny will come back now with the DRS assistance as well. He's going to have that extra bit of speed boost, and they're down the straight with that rear wing opening as well. Into the pits comes Kydell. So Kydell calling it a day there on the medium compound tyres. We did expect Kydell to come into the pits very soon, and he's going to switch on to, this has made it an AlphaTauri 1-2 by the way, but he's going to switch onto the soft compound tyres. I don't know if he's going to have the pace all the time to catch up to the back of that AlphaTauri queue. There's going to be AlphaTauri of AC Immortal there first, but he's going to have one hell of a stint indeed. Down the pit straight goes Jidder. Acid Master sets the fastest lap of the race. He's within 3.5 seconds now of Jenner as well. You can see the Alpine ahead of him down the straights now. But Kydell comes out 11 seconds behind AC Immortal. Will he be able to get himself back into the frame there for P2? I'm not quite sure. I think that might have cost him that P2 position in the race. We'll have to wait and see. As Percy just saying that he can't get his pedals working at all. So, yeah, fingers crossed they're ready for gold on, when's that? Gold is on Sunday. It's Brazil. And we're starting a bit earlier then on the Sunday as well. We're starting at 7 p.m. with a one-shot quali and then the sprint event, of course, because it is Brazil. So we've got the sprint event there. So it's going to be a one-shot quali, a 50% sprint, which I believe is only about 12 laps or so. And then the 50% race itself. So it'll be finished about 8:05, I think it will be roughly, so that we can get ourselves tucked in and ready for the Miami Grand Prix, which of course this is a preview to, for the Sunday at 8:30 p.m. there on Sunday as well. So like I said, we've got the gold race starting a bit earlier as well on the Sunday, just to make sure we can get in the sprint as well, so we can get all the racing done and dusted then, and watch some of the Miami Grand Prix as well. Hopefully it's going to be a much more entertaining race than the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, which was sending me to sleep, to be fair, for most of it, apart from when the Alpine decided to pit on the last lap and almost run over everybody who was blocking the pit lane. But yeah, that was about it really. So I think, well, luckily everybody was okay. But yeah, so hopefully the Miami Grand Prix on at 8:30 p.m. on Sunday is more entertaining than the Azerbaijan Grand Prix last weekend. But this one's been one hell of an entertaining race indeed. We've had some great racing, some unfortunate mistakes and some unfortunate errors as well. Especially speaking of Percy's accelerator pedals. But unfortunately, that is a big shame indeed, with losing Percy, who was leading the race quite comfortably as well. The same for Pinkai, who had some technical issues as well. I think Martin had technical issues, but I think Bannister and Vessia had missing front wings, and they ended up in a wall, unfortunately. So that is the reason why there's 5 drivers out so far. It's not been a good one for the technical difficulties, I would have to say. Unfortunately, we had technical difficulties with the lobby as well, trying to get everybody back in. But we have done so, thankfully, and we are back underway. So we've got now only just 7 laps to go at the end of this one, and I think we're coming up to the end of this one as well now. But yeah, one hell of a Grand Prix indeed, as ALR Esports has just put some sort of weird emoji. Yeah, good stuff. That's helpful. So yeah, wonderful stuff indeed. Right then. So Acid Masters now is looking to chase that P4 down. Can he get within that range? He's already within the penalty range, of course, but he would like to overtake on track, I would imagine, so he can get that accolade there on the classification as well. But so far it's looking good indeed from Acid Masters there. He's done a fantastic strategy call there. A soft, medium stint as well of 30 laps there in between, or 31 laps, and then soft again there for the Red Bull driver. It has been one hell of an unorthodox strategy, I would have to say. Not one that we've been familiar with, not one that we expected for sure, put it that way. So he's done a very, very good job there of getting that strategy to work there for him, and it has worked geniusly there for Acid Masters as well. So it's not all done and dusted just yet, I don't think. So good stuff from him and the Red Bull strategist, of course. Under the underpass we go. And now Acid Masters is within that DRS range of the Alpine of Jinnah. He's going to be excited about this. He wants to get the move done. Yellow flags along the back straight. I think that's for Kiki. They're just trying to get himself back underway. I think he's been lapped there by Troy, unfortunately there for Kiki as well. Sigurdsmuck picks up a penalty as well. We'll have to look at the penalty situation in a jiffy. And here comes Acid Masters there down the outside. Is he into the final corner? No, not quite. He's cutting back though. And of course, on those fresher soft compound tyres, you're going to have a lot more grip and a lot more pace than the 23 lap old hards that Jinnah's got on. Down the outside once again, it's going to be into turn 1. I think it's going to be late on the brakes indeed. And it looks like the Red Bull has got the move. It's going to be close indeed. They're going to battle side by side through turns 2 and 3. Here we go, and then round the outside for the Red Bull as well, and he's got the move done there on the soft compound tyres. He clung onto it there as well, and he managed to regain that, gain that position as well with some excellent racing there between the two of them. Well done indeed, making sure that the cars didn't make contact, making sure the cars stayed on the track, and making sure that everything was all good stuff. Sigurdsmuck's pit there from P7, I think. He's dropped out behind his teammate and behind Beat, and he's going to be battling with Serious Mushroom. Is he? He's going to be close indeed. I think someone just picked up a penalty there as well. Did they pick up a penalty there? Maybe they did. Kiki's picked up another penalty as well. I'm not quite sure what's happened to Kiki there. Hopefully he can get himself sorted. But Serious Mushroom there is going to be using the DRS now of the Mercedes there to pull himself along. Yellow flags in the background. Is it for Kiki? It's Kiki as well. He's had a problem there trying to get himself into the pit lane. And he has got himself into the pit lane, and he's sped into the pit lane as well. Unfortunately for Kiki, that is not good news. Oh, and he's retired in the pit lane as well, so that is Kiki out of the session there with a pit and quit as well. Unfortunately, Jinnah there trying to cling onto the back of Acid Masters, but the pace on those soft compound tyres is just too much there in the Red Bull. He's really going for it. A fantastic pace indeed there in the Red Bull as well. He's got a 10-second gap there to Kaidel. Of course, Kaidel has pit for the fresh soft compound tyres as well, so I think the energy there might run out there for Acid Masters, but he's done a great job there to get himself up into P4. Down the order, Siege has got himself past Reflection, has he? Up into P10, up into the points pen positions as well. Siege has done a great job there after a horrible race. He's got himself up into the points pen positions, but Reflection I think will try and come back at him there and try and take that place back as well, I'd imagine, because that is what Reflection wants to do. He wants to get himself in the points himself, doesn't he? He doesn't want to worry about Siege. He doesn't want to worry about how Siege is going to feel if he finishes 11th. He wants to worry about him getting the points, doesn't he? So here he comes now down the back straight. Serious Mushroom as well, putting the pressure on the Mercedes of Sigurdsmuck there. Of course, Sigurdsmuck are much fresher soft compound tyres as well, but if Serious Mushroom can stay within the penalty range there of the Mercedes, then that will gain him the place regardless as well. So it won't be too bad for Serious Mushroom. We're on to lap 53 of 57. We're almost there. We're almost there as we get ourselves round once again. Troy there is leading the way. There, he's just started lap 53, hasn't he? So we're on to lap 50. We've got 5 laps remaining, I think. Wait, 54, 55, 56, 57. Yeah, we've got 4.5 laps remaining now as Troy there leads us away down sector 2, down the back straight of sector 2 as well. Good stuff indeed. So Troy there from the back of the grid there has done a good job. Kaidel there has done a fantastic job as well indeed in the McLaren there. He's had a few battles as well throughout this race, but he's kept it nice and tidy as much as he can. He's got himself back onto the podium places as well, which is good stuff indeed. It's increasing his chances there as Acid Masters is back in the pit lane. That is a very odd call indeed there. He's called it a day there already on the soft compound tyres. He's only done 7 laps there on the softs. He's on to an older set of softs. Okay, I'm not quite sure what's going on there. He's going to be out ahead of. Is it starting to rain? No, I'm not quite sure what's going on here. Acid Masters is going to go out ahead of Danny, but on much older soft compound tyres, and I'm not quite sure what is going on there because he's decided to pit from 7-lap old tyres to go on to older 14-lap old soft compound tyres. So very odd indeed. Reflection and Siege once again battling away there into the penultimate corners, and Siege back ahead into the points as well for the Williams driver. Good stuff indeed from him. But yeah, very odd call indeed there from Acid Masters. I'm not quite sure what the strategy is there at all there for the Red Bull driver. He was comfortably in P4, and I think he would have comfortably got to the end of the race as well, but for some reason has come into the pits there to change onto the soft compound tyres again, but they were used soft compound tyres, unless that's a glitch on my screen, and for some reason it's just showing me 14 lap old tyres even though it's fresh. It could be a glitch on my screen, I'm not quite sure, but yeah, I have no idea what is going on there. That is very odd indeed. But hopefully it is just a glitch, and hopefully it's not a problem. But it looks like it is a problem because Acid Masters is coming under pressure now from Danny, and I think that could be a bit of a problem there for the Rebel driver. Down the order though, the Williams driver there of Siege and Reflection battling away again. Kiki has left the session there. He's retired in the pit lane. Acid Masters is back in the pits again. So this is not going well there for the Rebel driver. He's quit in the pit lane as well, which is just nonsense really, because he was going to come out inside the points paying position still. But that is just, well, I suppose it's great news for Siege and Reflection. I suppose they can get themselves a point each. They don't have to worry about it too much now. But that is Acid Masters there, on for a driver of the day performance there, and has ruined his own race in one foul swoop. Perfect stuff. Danny's got me my driver of the day vote, I think. But I'm just going to give it to whoever. Random click. It's Danny. Whoops, that was a surprise. Right then, good stuff indeed. We'll have a look at the position changes as well quickly as well. Penalty wise, Danny has got a penalty there. He's going to lose out to Beat, I suppose, if it stays this way. But there's penalties for quite a few drivers there, and penalties for all the drivers I think who had retired as well. Position changes. Danny is up 13 places, so Danny is my candidate there for driver of the day for sure. He's done a great job indeed. Beat has done a good job as well for my candidacy as well. Of course, the Alpha Tauris has done a fantastic job indeed as well. But and Reflection also. There's yellow flags for Vintage. Is it? Vintage is off the circuit there at the penultimate corner. He's got himself back underway as well. Not quite sure what is going on here for Vintage. He seems to be all over the place. He's got himself back underway and into the pit lane as well, so that is good news at least. But yeah, that is 55 laps done and dusted there. He just needs to make sure he gets to the end of the race. But nonetheless, that is how it's played out for Vintage. I think that maybe he's going to go onto the soft compound tyres and try himself a fastest lap or so, which will be an extra point for him, of course, if he finishes the race. That is lap 55 of 57, and Troy is back in the pit lane there just as I came on board. He's entering the pit lane, and I think he's got enough time indeed actually to make himself a nice little pit stop there onto a set of soft compound tyres potentially as well, and go for a fastest lap point here for himself and the Alpha Tauri team, which I think Immortal will be very happy with, because of course he is battling the Aston Martins pretty much single-handedly, and now that Troy has come in, that's helped as well, of course. But pretty much single-handedly, AC Immortal has been battling the Aston Martins in the constructors for the 100% league, that is, and it was getting a bit spicy indeed, wasn't it? But now I think the roles have been reversed desperately, because we can see here potentially a 1-2 and potentially an extra Grand Slam, well, not a Grand Slam, a Grand Slam in terms of all of the points going towards the Alpha Tauri team, because I think Troy is going to go for the fastest lap point here, and it could get close indeed. Penalty wise, I was going to say I thought AC Immortal might have 6 seconds of penalties, but it's not the case. It's 3 seconds there for Immortal and for Kaidel. I thought Kaidel might be able to get within range. Siege and Reflection once again swapping places there as we go down towards the underpass again for the penultimate time now, as Chewy has got past Acid Master's car, who's of course retired in the pit lane there. Penalty wise, there is the situation for the time being. It looks like Danny will be jumped there by Beat, but I think that's pretty much the only movements that's going to be made. Actually, Serious Mushroom can get a move on Sick as Muck there up into P7 for that position there for the Haas, which would be still a great result indeed for Serious Mushroom. Reflection and Siege still going in this battle as well. These two really sticking at it as well, which is absolutely fantastic, and fair play to Siege and to Reflection as well for keeping going this race. Yellow flags. I think the Troy there. Troy is causing yellow flags for some reason, but I think he's just trying to get himself in a prime spot there to go for the fastest lap attempt. Let's have a look and sit on board there as we start lap 57 of 57, the final lap here in Miami, and we'll have to wait and see if it's going to be a fastest lap point for the Alpha Tauri team as well. Here he goes then through sector 1. It looks very smooth indeed there for the AlphaTauri driver, car number 70, of course. I don't know why, but I'm guessing that's his preferred number. But now towards the back straight then. No DRS, of course. He's gone purple though in sector 1, which is very promising because that is likely going to be a fastest lap if it can get purple around every sector. Now onto the back straight, like I was saying, no DRS available to the AlphaTauri at this stage, but he has got some ERS to play with. And now onto the heavy braking zone there, charging up some battery as well. Of course, that would be quite useful for the next straight, of course, as we go towards the towards the very complex few corners under the underpass for the final time as well. It's been one hell of a Grand Prix. Blimey, it's been a very long Grand Prix as well for me. But nonetheless, Troy has done a fantastic job there. He's got himself back onto the back into the lead there from 19th on the grid. He's gone purple again in sector 2, which again is very promising. For a fastest lap point, that is. And now around down towards the final braking zone there to finish off lap 57 here of 57 there. Troy is going to come round the penultimate couple of corners there to finish off the Miami Grand Prix and win the Miami Grand Prix with the fastest lap point at 27.668 there on the final lap for the AlphaTauri driver. Fantastic stuff indeed there on his reserve appearance there from 19th on the grid to win the Grand Prix. Well done indeed to Troy. One hell of a race indeed from himself, and one hell of a race from all the drivers, to be fair. AC Walter there, the championship winner, of course, in the USA 2 rounds ago, or was it 3 rounds ago? It might have been 2 rounds ago, has won the Grand Prix, or not won the Grand Prix, so he's come second in the Grand Prix there. He had a bit of a struggle there, starting from the back of the grid, trying to get through the order, but he got himself up into P2 in the end, so that is maximum points there for the AlphaTauri team, which is great news for the constructors from their point of view, of course. Kydell does get the final podium place with a great drive indeed as well. Good stuff for him as well, cementing his place in P2 in the championship order in the drivers standings, that is, as well. Good stuff from him. Ginner there in P4. Good race indeed from Ginner as well. Well recovered after a spin in the latter part as well. Danny crosses the line in P5, but Beat there recovers to P5 after the penalties are added on for Danny as well. Great stuff indeed from both Danny and from Beat as well, to be fair. Both great drives from them. Sick as muck, they will finish in P7, but I think Serious Mushroom there is lost out there to the Mercedes driver, unfortunately. He's lost out, but he's got himself some good points indeed as he crosses the line in P8 there. Siege in P9 and Reflection in P10, Bacardi in P11, Vintage in P12, and Chewy in P13. Unfortunately, there was 7 retirements? 7 retirements there from the Grand Prix from the rest of the field, but their Reflection is just trying to get himself back to the pit lane, and I'm not quite sure what's happened to Reflection there. He's slowed down, but he's still going to get himself a point if he crosses the line in the car. And there we go then. That is the Miami Grand Prix done and dusted. So fantastic stuff. And there we go then. There is Troy there on the top step of the podium, celebrating his win in style. AC Immortal there in P2 with a fantastic result as well. Both the AlphaTauris driving through the order from the back of the grid to get themselves onto the podium places, and Kydell with a fantastic race indeed as well in the McLaren to hold on to that podium place, and of course, like I said, extend his points in the championship there. Of course, both the Aston Martin drivers didn't take part in this race, so that is going to be good news for Kydell there, being able to get some points on the board and get himself ahead in the order there. Ginner there in P4, Beat there in P5, Danny in P6 with the penalties added on, Sick as Muck in P7, holding on to that place ahead of Mushroom in P8, Siege in P9, and Reflection in P10. Both drivers there with great drives after having struggles early on as well. Bacardi in P11, Vintage in P12, Chewy in P13 is your final classification there. Unfortunately, the rest of the drivers, the likes of Acid Masters, Kiki, Lucas Percy, Pink Eye, Vessier, Bannister and Martin did not finish either with technical difficulties or through pit and quit situations, put it that way. But there we go then. And I don't know if the drivers have been added in for the interviews, but there we go. We'll have to quickly just have a quick look and see if anybody's here. Nobody's here. Oh, well, unfortunate that, but well done to Kydell, Immortal, of course, and Troy on the podium places. We'll have to call it a day there, unfortunately, but well done indeed to all the drivers who took part in the race and who finished the race as well, especially. Like I was saying, we've got Gold coming up early on Sunday, of course, with 7 p.m. start there for Gold, where it's going to be a one-shot quali sprint and then 50% race, of course, the Brazil Grand Prix on the Sunday before the Miami Grand Prix in real life at 8:30 p.m. So we'll have a start quick, an early start there on Sunday, and get ourselves sorted for before the Miami Grand Prix starts as well. And then on the Monday we've got the Brazilian Grand Prix with the sprint for silver, the same for Tuesday with bronze, and then we're back here in the 100% league. I think we're in where are we? I think we're in Imola next week. We'll have to find out, so stay tuned for that one as well. But we'll see you very soon here on ALR. Thanks very much for joining us.